have to make, and then vote on whatever. So I went to the first water meeting, which apparently was the first one after the annual meeting, and I was like, wow, this is a tense environment. I just thought it was gonna be fun, like, I love water, I love chemistry, I think my water tastes great, and I really waded into something that
We'll
was
start it, yeah.
something really interesting. So I really had no idea that, like, I had a voice in the community. I didn't really know that. I just thought, yeah, I don't know where my water comes from. I just know it comes in a pipe from the street, so. So, yeah, Angela talked to me about this and said that I might enjoy it and find it interesting. And from what I've read so far, it is. I like reading about, I do have a little bit of a tax background in the pension system, so I'm good at reading dense documents, and that's, I'd say, pretty much where my strength lies when it relates to government probably, but yeah, it's been fun.
Good, very good. So the position is an appointed position until the next election, so you would appoint tonight, and then it would be, you would have to run for it in January, you would sign up,
January is the filing
March
period for the
election.
election in March,
and you would fill the remaining seat, whatever years.
which is 3 years actually, because the term was up anyway.
That's right, so it would be a 3-year term,
Oh, wow.
just because it happened that Mike was up for election anyways, so.
Is the reason that there's like a 3-year term and 2 1-years, is that so that it's not,
They're all
They're all
3-year
three.
terms.
all 3-year, oh, okay.
Yeah, we just had a couple of people leave,
Got it.
so, and then, you replaced Suzanne, right?
Yep, I was
And then
appointed
you
last
ran-
August,
Yeah, you ran
and then I
for the
ran
election.
March.
Yeah,
Okay.
so then you just fill the last remaining term.
Yeah, last little bit.
Just coincidental, but they're all 3-year terms.
Interesting.
And also, just to let you know, we did vote to meet every other Monday, and kind of worked okay during the summer. We will be getting busier come fall, and I suspect it will not be every other Monday, just to let you know.
Okay, you mean it won't be a set schedule?
Well, it's gonna be every Monday.
Oh, okay, I see.
So, it's just because we're getting bigger, we're doing budgets, and so
Yeah.
what my hope is, and we'll discuss it tonight, is my hope is, we'll have a select board meeting the first Monday, and then the next one will be a budget process meeting, and then next one will be selectmen. So we wouldn't be doing the day-to-day activities, we may do welfare and some of the things that can't,
Policies.
and policies that can't wait, and policies is another thing that we haven't been able to get to. So we're gonna try to do that, but I just wanted, we were hoping to do every other, but it's gonna be too busy, so. At this part of the year, maybe in the summer we'll go back to it, or if there isn't anything on the agenda, we can
Yeah.
have it, so.
Nothing gets busier for me, so we have 2 dogs, and I go to work and I come home, hopefully, usually at 5:30. But it's kind of cool, my position. It's really to fill, we need 2 people that can do the job. We publish like the daily profit and loss, risk reports and everything, so my coworker and I are usually out of the door by 5, but if we're not, it's like, hey, can you stay? I'm gonna go, so
Mhm.
it's pretty flexible.
Good, okay, that sounds good. Do you have any questions for us?
I don't think so. I had a question about 1 year versus 3 years. I think I was thinking of the water district model maybe.
They're also, the commissioners are on 3-year terms. Clerk, whether, our town clerk is 3 years, but their clerk is 1 year.
Oh.
Budget committees are 3-year, but sometimes you see 1-year slots, because it's, like she said, if somebody resigns before the end of their term, then you run for the remainder of the term. So that's why you see sometimes 2-year or 1-year spots.
Got it.
And
On
most
the-
of them are 3-year.
3-year.
Our fire chief is 1 year. And Kate
Treasurers
was
are
at 1 year at
1.
one time, but then it got
Then it
changed
got
to
changed
3.
to 3.
And our treasurer is a single year as well.
Okay,
But the
cool.
rest, most of the others are
3.
3 years, yeah.
Got it. So it really just gives people a chance to vote every 3 years, regardless of how long someone's been in there.
They're
Well, you're
gonna vote
voting
every
every
year
year.
because
So,
it's staggered shifts.
they're all
Staggered
Right, okay,
terms.
so
So every year there's gonna be 3 up.
Got it.
So you're voting every year for every position, except for town clerk. But, yeah.
Pretty, sort of, kind of,
Yeah. Because she's a single, is one of, so,
Got it.
but, yeah, most of them are, you will vote on yeah, you'll see the first ballot when you go down in March, but.
I did vote this, I went to the Legion, and
For the March ballot?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so, yeah. It'll be the same thing every year, just different names on it, the ones who have expired their term, so. Okay,
Cool.
any other questions? No? Are you still interested?
Yeah.
So
Anyone's
I
getting
also
out.
did also want to mention, so there's this meeting, but then there's a whole crop of committees
Mm-hmm.
that, depending on the schedule, might be another night or another 2 or 3 nights in a week. With another board member, we can spread the wealth there,
Mhm.
and figure out what you like for committees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I'm on CIP,
SFPC,
CRPC,
Lamprey,
Lamprey,
Stormwater,
Stormwater, Highway,
Safety.
Yeah, and I'm on budget and recreation. Miles is on what? Historical?
Mike was,
I'm sorry?
Who does planning?
I do.
Caroline was,
Does anybody do zoning? Next
No,
issue,
zoning doesn't get one.
sits on most of the committees, the selectmen especially does. But Michael did historical, what else did he do?
he was draft regional planning,
Oh,
And
okay,
Lamprey.
you've already,
Lamprey.
okay.
Historical.
Yeah, I don't think we have a rep historical right now.
No.
I think it's kind of dormant
Mhm.
at the moment.
Mhm.
And then there are sometimes ad hoc committees that spin up, but
I know.
Like space needs.
I'm on space needs as well.
That's not an always thing,
Yeah.
that's just now because of the circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and that's gonna start up very soon, as soon as we.
And just
both
change
and I
it
are
on.
putting the other 2 people on, we'll get that going. So, we may ask, I don't know if we'll change things unless you want to, you have a, how do you play too?
I'm gonna have to,
Back down a little bit?
yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we can talk about, maybe we can take some of Miles
Oh,
from
you're
the rest of
fine.
the year.
Sure.
Budget's starting, but I've been on budget for 20 years. You're certainly welcome to also come and listen and attend, and,
Yes.
you know, you just wouldn't have a vote, because
Yeah.
there's only 12 people, 12 votes, but you certainly can go to any of these meetings and listen as a selectman, and hear what's going on, because that's another way of learning the process,
Right.
you know. But on the budget committee also, I wanted to make, you had said something, Sewer and Water has a position on the budget committee, that they just not always there.
Okay.
So they do have, they have an ex.
Yeah, they said
selectmen-
that at one of the
Okay,
meetings.
and the Sewer and Water and the
School.
school sit on the budget committee as well. Any other questions? So, do you want to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we appoint Jessica Welch to fill our open select board seat.
I'll second it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Now, non-clerk is here, so you can get sworn in if you are prepared to stay for tonight.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Which one is at the table?
Okay.
We'll get you the
Wow.
sign in, sworn in by Kate.
Should I go?
No, she's
Wait,
right
wait.
here. Okay, she's right here.
Yeah, but I actually do it by the flag.
Oh,
Oh,
Actually,
yeah.
Should we have a picture?
How patriotic.
Oh,
I think it
listen, I
should
just
go
came
in
from a
the-
cleaning job, don't get me,
Town website.
I'm filthy.
We don't need a picture.
Yeah, we don't. Well, I do have
I'll
you
just
get
get the-
by the
just get the
flag and
faces.
raise your right hand. And it's kind of simple, but I'll ask
Okay.
you. So, I just, before you picture, I'll say I and you state your name.
Okay.
I
Aye. Jessica Welch.
do solemnly and sincerely swear and affirm that I will bear faith and true allegiance to the United States of America and the state of New Hampshire, and will support the Constitution thereof, so help me God.
I do.
I
Jessica Welch.
do solemnly and sincerely swear and affirm that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon me as a select board member for a one-year term.
This will make it one.
I do.
According to the best of my abilities, agreeable to the rules and regulations and the Constitution and the laws of the state of New Hampshire, so help me God.
I do.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I'll have you just sign right here.
Thanks. Thanks.
Caroline can take this for you, but I need you to sign here and fill this portion out. Sure.
And you can have a seat here, you can
And they are.
And these are comfortable.
They're better. They're better.
And I'd love to have a conversation with you about the online part of it, because it's been a big request for us.
Oh, yeah, I know a lot about it, actually.
But what we've looked into has been 3%, which is like $3 a transaction. People wouldn't pay that.
Oh, people wouldn't pay that?
No, they won't pay 50 cents to mail it in. I'm not gonna pay 3 to, but, so I'd like to talk to you about it.
Thanks for
Okay,
doing
sure.
this, Kate. Thank you.
You.
Okay, so, do you have the agenda right here? Approval of the minutes of July 22nd. And she
That
made
should
the
be-
changes.
August 5th, right?
Yes.
Oh, all
I
right,
didn't change that, sorry.
let's repeat
Thank
that.
you.
August
I didn't find those minutes, I apologize.
Okay.
I did look, but I didn't find them.
Oh,
Yes.
I did.
You did.
Yeah, I sent some
Oh,
changes.
If you look through your emails from, you can search your emails from Salme, and minutes get shared, Jessica, when Salme's finished with them, so then it'll bring you to a link where you can look on the Google
Oh,
Drive.
yeah, there we
Yeah.
go. I see them.
Yeah, and then any suggestions of what if you think that there was some kind of a mistake or something, there's a place where you can comment and she'll reply back to you that it's been resolved, or tell you what she believes it should be, and then we can talk about it at the meeting, if that's something different. So, you want to take a minute to read it?
Yes,
Okay.
it'll just,
All right. What if I go to community input
Yep.
while you're doing that? Is any community input? That would be you. Come on up.
You all know who I am.
I do.
Is there a place for me to speak other than this, or do you want me to
No,
come
you
down?
would be community input. Are you on here?
No, he's not on there, so.
Yep, right. Have
Come on
a
up.
seat, Ken.
Thank you. I'm up here for my, not annual, but once in a while I have to come up because I take care of my daughter's property on Heritage Drive and her mother's property on Prospect Street. I am not a Rollinsford resident, so they won't issue me a permit for my truck to do that. They did issue me a letter that I could go up there and dump the stuff. But there is one requirement in that letter, to have one of those people come with me. It's not always handy to do that. My daughter, she has 3 little ones, and Pat, and I don't really see any need. Everybody knows me, who's coming, whether there's somebody riding with me or not. So I'm just looking for maybe a waiver from the need for have one of them ride with me when I go there, or I'm more than willing to purchase a dump sticker to go up there, cut a corner off to show I'm not a resident or whatever. But I would like to continue doing this. I've done this forever for them. And I used to own a garage, you know that, and I've sold the garage, so there's nothing coming out of the garage. There never was anyway. It was just a hangout for me. So I'm just looking for to be able to go up and continue what I've been doing for how many years, I don't know.
Well, one of the problems that we're having is that there's people who are not properly, don't have dump stickers and they're dumping, so they're trying to stop that.
Certainly.
And the problem, does your wife or your daughter have the ability to drive? Yes?
I'm sorry?
Your wife or your daughter have the ability to drive,
Sure.
so they could get a transfer station sticker and you could take their vehicle and there wouldn't be a problem, right? Yeah.
The change is that people like go in there without a sticker, you don't know who those people are that are coming in there and doing what they're doing. Everybody knows who I am. I spent 40 years here on the fire department, more than 40 years at the garage or whatever. And then I'm just trying to help out. I don't get paid for doing this, so it's not like getting paid and bring it to the, so I'm just looking for some relief so that I can continue to do what I want as per this letter with that exception.
Well, we have to follow the rules because we're requiring everyone else to do the same thing. We
Yeah.
just had one with someone who didn't have the ability to drive.
Yeah.
So, we issued a permit to the daughter, but because they didn't have the ability to drive. If your wife or your daughter will allow you to take their vehicle with the transfer station sticker on it, then you can take their,
Yeah.
that's
My
the
daughter
only.
doesn't have her car up here because they have business in Tennessee. So I have all that stuff in Tennessee. I spend more time at their house than I do at my house taking care of things up there. So it's, there's a little difference, I think, from someone just coming from someplace else and doing it. I think an exception could be made to allow that continue. And with the stipulation that I get a sticker for the truck, I have no problem with that. Everyone knows who I am. I can't say anything more.
I agree with that, everyone knows who you are, Ken. I definitely agree with that. I just think that once we set a precedent of giving in and allowing someone to do it beyond what the rules are, it sets a precedent, and that could be happening more often than not,
Well,
unfortunately.
There are exceptions to every rule, and I guess that's what I'm asking for, that there's an exception to the rule.
So this wouldn't, none of this is your trash? You're not bringing your trash to
That's
Wallingford?
correct.
It's just,
It's Sharon's house and Pat's house, we call it my ex-wife.
like, you just can't put it in your car and
I'm sorry?
you can't put it in her car and bring it?
Well, I could, but.
Yeah, I think that's,
I mean, she has a vehicle and she has the
I think that's
ability
what
to
we're
drive, so if she needs assistance, and we don't have a problem with someone in town or someone who is out of town and driving her vehicle and taking it, that's not the issue.
Yeah.
She has the ability to drive.
It's sad that we can't make an exception for something. This, to me, is very simple, to make an exception. And an exception doesn't mean that you have to do that for everybody. An exception's an exception, that's all. The letter is fine with me. I just hate to bother them, say, hey, you gotta get in the truck with me and come down. Sharon's got 3 little ones and Mom is,
But if she got a dumpster, she wouldn't have to get in the truck with you. You could take her vehicle and bring her trash to the dump.
I don't,
I mean, transfer station.
it's a lot of rigmarole to go
Okay.
through, and when I
It's a
loaded,
solution, Ken.
sometimes I
It's a
loaded the
solution,
truck before.
But I'm just saying is, we have a hard time already trying to get everyone to follow the rules. And if we make exceptions, it will tie our hands to, someone will have another exception, and
Yeah.
it will just be a domino effect.
Well, that's what an exception is, yeah, I did this, but I don't have to do this one because it doesn't meet the same rules, so, all exceptions are not the same. I will leave that with you, I can say no more, everybody knows what the situation is.
Okay,
I wish you would discuss it a little bit more
okay.
and see if we can find a way that I can just simply take care of their properties for them.
Okay.
Would be very helpful.
Fair
So
enough. We'll
at
discuss
this
it.
point, we'll just leave it like that, hopefully you
We'll
will.
discuss it with Ed
Talk
and
about it.
George, we'll discuss it with Ed and George and get their opinion on it and see
Okay.
and we'll get back to you.
Okay,
All right?
Thank you.
All right, Ken, thank you for coming down. Okay, no
Yes,
more
George,
comments from
yeah.
visitors, none of you are visitors.
so, I think we need to elect officers.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yes,
I move we elect Denise Knowles as chair of the select board.
Seconded?
Yes,
Good
we shouldn't
job,
throw him
Jay.
into this without.
yeah, there's chair, vice chair, and clerk. And the clerk's position is,
It's not really
it's-
defined and has no innate responsibilities.
it's mostly going through the correspondences that we get, and at the meeting, we'll present those correspondences to us. So those are the 3 positions that we have. All right, so we have a motion on the floor to have myself as chair and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. And I'll make a motion to make Miles vice chair.
Seconded?
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And I'll make a motion to appoint Jessica as clerk.
Okay. I'll second it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Is that all of them?
That is all of them, but does the board want to revisit any committee appointments or even the delegations of who's signing checks and, doing payroll timesheets and
Okay.
any of those things?
So whoever's signing checks cannot approve the invoices.
They have to be separate
They have
people.
them as separate. Right now, I approve the invoices and Miles is signing the checks. What is the other things that are just,
Typically, you're going through the correspondence
Yeah.
folder during the meeting. I didn't pull the red folder. I need to get the red folder, which is how the front office staff gets anything that goes to the board.
okay. So do you want to take that on?
Sure.
Okay, this is a folder, is this one?
Um,
This is invoices.
that's
Yeah,
invoices.
Okay. This
So,
is now in your hands.
Okay.
And she'll get the red folder. And those are all things that we have to discuss at a meeting.
Got it.
Okay?
And these stay here, right?
Yep, no, you're not gonna
Yes.
take, yeah, you have to go
Yeah,
through them tonight, and
At the end
then,
of the meeting, you can go through what's in the folder and talk about it with the board members, and if there's a decision to be made about it. It just, some of it's purchase orders that come from my office. There's a variety of things in there, and just to bring them to the attention of the board.
Got it.
okay, all
I'm fine staying, signing checks. We probably should get her signature on a signature card.
Yes, I'll take care of that
Okay.
with the treasurer.
right. Yeah, so it only requires one select board member to sign the checks, right?
Always the
And then
treasurer.
the treasurer and the select board
And
member.
a select
Have I
board.
signed, yeah, I signed one a
You
while ago,
can-
right?
You're on the account and you
Yeah,
can,
I
you
did.
have before, yes.
Yeah, okay. So we'll get you to sign the signature card
Okay.
as well, so in case Miles or myself aren't, then you'll be
Oh,
able
okay.
to do it, okay? But most of the time, one of us is for sure, but also Caroline, I'm sure will sit with you sometime when you have time and she can go over all of those
I
processes.
would love that
Great.
opportunity when it's
Yeah,
convenient
yeah.
for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm free all the time.
So do we want to kind of like think about what we have for committees right
Yeah.
now, write down the responsibilities and maybe table it until next week?
I can
or
make
next
up a new
meeting?
list and show
See
you
what
all
we
where
are.
you all are at
Yeah.
and what's.
And what we can kind of
Great.
get you
And I'll
involved in
send that
as
to you
well.
as well, so you can see a full list of
Yeah.
what they serve on and what you might be interested, you can start thinking about what you
Okay.
might be interested
That'd
in,
be
that's a good idea.
Okay, so we'll table that for the next one, okay? And did you have something else on that? Or
That was
those
it,
the only
thank
two
you.
things? Okay. All right, so,
Oh, minutes, I'm good.
oh, you're good? Okay, when we do the minutes, we do it by consensus unless there's an issue, so we don't have to officially make it that, we just say approved by consensus. Since you haven't seen them, but you weren't part of the board,
Yeah.
it'll just be Miles and I this time.
That's great.
But going forward, it will be all of us, okay?
Okay.
So, consensus?
Yep.
Okay, so minutes have been approved by consensus. Okay, Semi? Okay, and that was the 5th,
Yes,
Okay.
August 5th.
okay. Okay, community input, no more community. All right, so are we gonna go by who's here or who, the way the list shows?
first?
Yes, so the
Okay.
fire chief, they're
Chief
busy
Rutherford?
tonight, so.
If I could slide
Usually
in there.
it's, do you know Chief?
Only
Rutherford?
because
Public interaction. Fire
Chief Duchamp and George Gannett is head of highway.
This is our new board member, Jessica.
Hi,
That's-
hello, this is all you get. Good luck.
Is he not
You might have to listen to a little of this only
I
because,
heard,
well, we got two pieces of equipment out of town.
yeah.
The lightning storm put 3 building fires that we're off playing at, so thank you guys for letting me slide forward. Couple pieces of business I want to take care of. Actually, one, maybe. Let's do this one first. Okay, this is purchase order number 1660 to the State of New Hampshire Department of Safety for our newest member going through his firefighter level 1 certification. There's a slight change, as I've always told you, that we don't pay these until the member achieves certification. I'm flipping that this time for one main reason. He lives in town. And that is a huge access for, I'm just listening when the engine comes back.
Okay, all right,
2 engines actually, but the engine and the tank, but he lives in town.
okay.
And he's been very, very, very active. So I'm gonna, what I wanna do now is just pay it forward, and when he gets it, he's gonna pay it back.
Okay.
Everybody understand that? That's the only reason, I'm just
They
kinda
pay,
flipping his around.
they pay some back? They always pay
He will.
some, they always pay something though?
He will.
Oh,
Jason.
You do usually only pay 50%
Yes.
of it.
oh, okay,
And
that's what
that's the
I'm
same
saying.
way with this one. Because he's taking the satellite program. We have one member now that's in the fire academy, at the academy, going through the recruit school. He
Okay,
lives there. He's there for 3 months, comes home on his weekends. So we'll square up with that when he's all done. This is a satellite program run by the fire academy, but it's being held in Broad.
mhm,
So it's easier for him, because he still has a full-time job, so he's able to go to the evening classes that he has to be at. But they sent me the bill the other day, and I talked to them, and dealing with them is like, might as well be talking to him. So I just wanted to kind of square this away up front, and then we'll regroup once he gets done in the fall.
okay.
Okay?
Mhm.
That's my background on that one. So it's $845. The funds are still available within our training line item, and there's still plenty there to handle this request. And there you go, Miles. Invoices with it.
So, I'll move purchase order 1660, to the state of New Hampshire Department of Safety, $845 for firefighter level 1 certification.
Okay, and I'll second it. We kind of take turns.
Sorry. It's
Taking
your
turns
kids.
bringing it forward, okay. So my only question is, the reimbursement of the course, when does it end?
What are we in August? It ends in December.
December. It doesn't go back into the account, right?
Well, it's all about when in December. So if I think I understand your question, we would have to deposit the funds in December to offset, like, to be in December's fiscal year.
No,
Otherwise,
I was wondering, I thought it would be earlier than that. Okay, so I was wondering is if he paid us back, if that would put money back into his training account, so him to be able to use it for something else, but December's kind of late anyway, so it doesn't really matter. You know what I'm saying? You know, because it
Ends
doesn't,
in
it goes,
December, doesn't mean we can't, work
Get
something
payment
out.
before
If
December.
If that becomes an issue, I'm sure.
no.
And it's only $400.
Yeah, yeah.
It'll be
I just
fine.
didn't know where it would go
Right.
if he
Like the
lost the
general.
ability to use it for other training, is what my point was.
Well, I know it'll happen. I see where you're going, but it's the same thing you and I have talked about on the last bit of reimbursements at the fire department. Fire department's not making any revenue. If we can work on it that way, I mean, he can make it so it goes back into the town's general fund.
Well, that's what.
that's essentially
Right.
what happened,
Well,
yes.
Yeah, so.
Exactly.
Okay, all right, so, motions are made and seconded, any discussion? Do you have any questions?
No.
No?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Okay. It is passed.
19.
I have been having everyone, all the board members sign it, so.
That's the updated CIP.
We used to only have the chair, but I think everyone should.
And there's 2 things we use the
Sure.
credit card for.
Can you send this to me electronically? In a Word document, preferably if you. Thank you,
We can do that.
thank you.
What does he get back?
I'm
You're
I'll
gonna-
take care of that.
Anything else?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had a discussion with Caroline over this. I know we talked about this months ago at one of the department head meetings, the last one we had, springtime. And the problem is, and it's kind of come to a head, when I talked to Caroline, what happened was, did they know anything about
I have
Engine
not.
3?
No,
Can we talk about it for a minute?
please.
Engine 1, last week on a Monday night, when they went to do their service checks on the engine, it was dead. The batteries had died. And that's kind of normal with this truck, it happens every 3 years. So they have to be replaced. obviously you can't start the truck. So our option was to tow it to Dover, get new batteries put in it, and then get it serviced and whatnot, and bring it back. That's the last thing I want to do, is see one of our pieces of equipment on a tow truck rolling through anybody's downtown. So I didn't want to go that route. We have a gentleman on the fire department who's a mechanic.
You have someone.
I need a car. Do we do a third?
Third alarm, I'll be done in a minute. I'll be done in a minute, you hold on.
He's not a patient boy, I don't know who wrote him up.
I know they want to do, they want to bring more people over, they can hold on for a second.
My son.
Oh, yeah.
So what happened was, is we had a mechanic and he was able to do the job for us. We found a way to find the batteries, find the cables we need to do, and he could take care of the issue. So the tow charge would have been over $1,000. So batteries through Dover and whatnot would have easily been close to another $1,000. So that's a $2,000 bill that we diverted by Colin Rose taking care of this. So we procured the batteries. O'Reilly Auto Parts in Rochester. Problem was that I had, and I explained this, I actually called Caroline that night and says, I'll take the hit for this because I had to go over the amount that's on the credit card that we were able to use. It's $200. $200, we used to have 50, we made it to 200. But with what we're dealing with here, on my scale within the fire department, 200 is useless. I want to make a request, minimum 5, I want to see it go to $1,000. And I'm throwing it in your lap so you guys can discuss this, because we had the discussion before, and it was going to be revisited, and this brought it right to the forefront on the fact that I think the 3 things we bought was a total of $300 and something. But we easily saved the town $1,700. If I had that, because what I had to do was I circumvented the car. I went 100, 100, 100, or 150, 150, 150 is what I did. Because I wanted to get it done.
Might get you.
We need 2 fire trucks in our community 100% of the time, all the time. I had the ability to put this thing back in service in a matter of hours instead of days at a very, very super affordable cost to what the fire department can deliver on our own. So I took that step and more than willing to take the heat for stepping out of bounds. But I'm back here to make the request that it needs to change. You know the fire department rule, I can't get anything for $200, nothing.
Okay, can you explain to me what is your level of authority of, and how many people have the right to use the car?
The card is in his name, so we don't want to think that anybody else would be using that card.
The only time the card leaves my desk is if somebody requests it from me. It is locked and secured in my office.
Okay, so,
I have total access. If it needs to be used by the captain or the other 2 chiefs, they request it from me, I will give them permission. It's not where anybody can grab it and just go off and do their own thing.
so whatever's on the card, you're taking 100% responsibility for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The credit card itself is not limited per purchase. Anybody who has a credit card with the town is limited to $1,000 a month. So it's a policy change, is all, about how you would want to, if you want to change that $200 limit. I didn't know if that was part of where you were going with your
No, I
question.
just wanted to make sure that because we have a higher limit, that we're not gonna go out and use a credit card without maybe using purchase orders that we should be
No,
using
no.
and getting pre-approval versus using the credit card when you don't need pre-approval.
No, I understand exactly where you're going with that.
Okay,
This is a super isolated incident
I
as far as
agree.
after spending it that high. The only reason I did it was because when I put all the pieces together, it only made sense.
and I'm not at all,
Going out and
Against what
having
you
to spend
did.
$1,000 on any given time, unless it's some sort of, I don't want to say emergency, but it's at that point where we need it because we gotta have it now, is the only time that would happen. Everything else, I'm still purchase orders, we still
Okay.
plan for, we're still gonna go through that route. This was just that one-time super isolated incident.
and I'm okay with that one.
And that's why I would like to see it bumped up, so if we have this issue again, the freedom is there without having to cause any kind of conflict.
So would you also want them next day, because sometimes their stuff is in the middle of the night or whatever,
That's
when
what
they
this
have
was.
to do? Yeah,
This
no,
was at
I know,
10:30 at
yeah.
night.
So would you want them, like Mark, to tell you the next day, just let you know, this is what we did? So then you're, when you see it, you're expecting it.
So there kind of two different points here, and I think however the board chooses to handle it, it ought to be handled through a revision to the policy, since there is a credit card agreement that cardholders have to sign, and we have a purchasing policy. So what is the limit under which credit card holders can spend freely within things that are budgeted?
Mhm.
And then if there's an exception to that, under what circumstances is there an exception to that?
Mhm.
Also in the policy.
Okay.
I just want to note, not that you both, all three of you would know that your other two department heads in the back are probably, they can't see it, nodding their heads vigorously, that they are sharing this frustration with the credit card and purchasing policy, $200 limit. But also the purchasing, the PO policy, the PO threshold ought to be changed accordingly, because it doesn't make sense that you can spend $500 on a credit card, but if you get an invoice from a vendor, you can only spend up to $200, because why wouldn't they always use a
Use their
credit card?
Mhm.
No, I'm opening a can of worms. It's something that
No, it's,
we can discuss this, and, you know, as long as it isn't like when we last discussed raising it. It's just, it's something that just needs to be addressed at this point right now, that's all.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I went there. I called her that night. Before I did this, actually, I had guys en route to go get the batteries, and I called Caroline and said, this is what I have going on. I can turn them around and bring them back. But now you're talking a $2,000 bill,
So
so.
No, I get it.
he didn't put it on a credit card, but instead, at my request, got the
Yeah.
the vendor to
To
invoice
invoice us.
us, which works better because it's not a violation of the credit card policy.
Mhm.
It's just the violation of the purchasing policy, which is kind of ongoing for all department heads when they hit an emergency. You know, so it's kind of one infraction instead of a double infraction.
I get emergencies, I do, all of you. I mean, that is just, it happens, and I know that. But I just want to make sure that, you know, we're not going to stop one policy for another. And you're right, we have to look at both of them.
Right, so
And probably 200 is like, shouldn't be a PO.
if
You
the
know.
board can think about the concept of the
Just
lines,
cost.
I know,
Crazy.
I know.
the amounts you want to talk about and what constitutes an emergency and things
Mhm.
like that, then I can get you a new draft of the policy.
Yeah, I think we need a new draft for both of the policies.
Yes.
The POs and the
Yes.
credit card. But also, don't want him to have to wait while we do reviewing if something else comes up. So what
Stop on
kind of
1
a,
minute since you guys discussed it. Just
Sure.
1 minute.
Yep, yep,
I
yep,
got a
yep.
neighbor's more fireman.
Yeah.
I gotta go do that first. I'll be right back.
so, you know, I mean, I'm talking about all department heads, really. I mean, when it's an emergency, there should be flexibility.
There's flexibility in the
Yeah.
policy for emergencies, as there already are. When somebody has a vehicle down, they go and they deal with it. They don't
Mhm.
wait for
Mhm.
the next board meeting for permission to get a PO, to go get a vehicle repaired. They do it. So we're covered as far as, you know, it's just the status quo of how things have been handled. It's an invoice, it's a PO after the fact is what it is.
Mhm. Right, right.
So everybody's fine in terms of emergencies. It's
Okay.
just, it's just about how I'm not sure what the credit card policy says about emergencies, whether or not it recognizes it at all. And then the purchase order limit and making sure the credit card policy is in line with the purchasing policy. So I don't think that it requires any action tonight, except for if you wanted to discuss where is the board at with whether or not there's change and to what level, then I can go back and create a draft for your review next week.
Well, I think
Next
that's what we need.
meeting.
We need to get the policies sent to the three of us. Let's review them, let's put it on the agenda for our next meeting. And in the event that you run into an emergency, handle it as if you did this last one and notify Caroline. And then we'll be notified until we can get you a,
Yep, that's fine. I'm willing to do that. And like I said, I was willing to take the hit because it's
It's no
something we
hit.
have
It's
to
an
do.
emergency.
I get it, I
Yeah.
understand.
your hand is swapped.
Thank you. Thank you.
no, just, I mean, there are emergencies and fire trucks, highway trucks, they're all costly.
Sure, if he
And to
needs
get
in the
them
middle of
done.
the snowstorm, he needs to get it fixed,
He needs to get
right?
it fixed, exactly,
So
I
that's
get
kind of
it.
where we were. And, you know, by our NFPA standards, ISO standards, whatnot, you know, we can't sit with one fire truck in our town. We got two of them in the next town over
I
right now,
know.
so we gotta manage that.
I appreciate you looking out for the town's interest, and saving us money,
I constantly do that, and I explain it. Even on those invoices that I gave to Caroline, the batteries were $130, but when the guy went up there, he knew it was for a fire department purchase, and he put it under somebody else's account, JT Lines or something, and knocked another $25 off each battery. So with us driving in there, doing it that way, and fire department stuff, we saved almost another $100, just off the top, so.
Yeah.
So, actually, I got some more of that for you. But this is just an update, I just want you to know where we're at, since we're talking, you know, batteries that failed in one of our fire trucks. We're doing our vehicle inspections, starting now, we're jump starting, it usually have to begin in August by September. Forestry went in the other day and failed, but I knew it was gonna fail, it needs brakes, $500, rear brakes. Engine one, the battery issue, but now, it's not gonna pass because it needs tires. Tires are almost $800 a piece. We're talking $3,000 to put tires on the fire truck. Gotta happen, it's the only way it's gonna be stay on the road. Between those two expenditures, we've discussed this, it exhausts the vehicle repair line, or I'm right at the bare minimum. We have a solution, I've discussed the solution on what I wanna do, but that's just an upcoming expenditure that we gotta have. We are already researched the fact that we would go through Dover for the tires. Large tires on heavy equipment like that goes through Sullivan Tire, the truck division by Crosby. They want $900 a tire. I've already researched, I can get it down to $720 a tire. I gotta take the fire truck to Sanford, but that's a short drive to save almost $600. So that's where we are with that.
Now, you have to replace 4?
If you're gonna replace one or two, the outside ones are wearing more just because of the way the truck turns. And the thing with engine one, is the 4 tires on the back are steering tires. They don't have an aggressive tread. Even when they were still salvageable tires, the truck was lousy in the winter, it wouldn't get out of its own way. So if you're gonna replace those 2, you gotta do all 4 for the rear. You cannot piecemeal this stuff. So that's why we're gonna do it one done, won't need tires again for 10 years.
Okay, so do you have a PO?
Right, George?
Absolutely.
When it comes to tires, I don't have the PO now because I'm
Oh.
still doing the research on
Okay.
it. And I was gonna solve that tonight, but all my guys are over in Dover and someplace else right now, so I don't know if I'm gonna solve that.
Okay,
But I wanted to give you that quick brief update. You know, 99% of that sure is gonna go to Sanford, not come in with the PO.
okay.
So we'll have all that laid out ahead of time for you. But I wanted you to understand where we were, and what we were doing and why we were doing it.
Now, how is your budget, how is this budget in whole? I mean, does he have ability to move some things, given
Oh, yeah.
emergency that he can use? Okay.
Let me just note, since we're talking about purchase orders and he's preparing for a purchase, but the board isn't meeting for 3 weeks. Because in 2 weeks, we have Labor Day. So the next meeting's the 9th.
Well, we might be next week.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
Okay.
you know, it's something else to consider with the purchasing policy. It ties, in evaluating, how does the board consistently meet every other week, if that's what the board wants to continue to do? Purchase orders are one of the things that are gonna hold people up. So
It
if,
doesn't have to, because
It doesn't have to.
communication skills and telling us that there's something we can meet that Monday that we weren't planning on it if it needed to be.
right, but you can also address it in the purchasing policy.
How? What are you suggesting?
Well,
Giving you the authority to sign a certain value?
or, you know, between a certain value,
Yeah.
or something like
We
that.
can certainly do that.
Or under certain circumstances,
Yeah,
or something.
yeah, but also though, just because we're going every other week, department heads, doesn't mean we can't come in and have an emergency meeting if we had to. So just make sure you guys understand that. So,
Again, the only concern I had with that, voiced it to Caroline, was the fact that, you know, the vendors, that sometimes it's pushing them back. I'm of the, I run my department here, kind of the same way I run my stuff at home. Something's on my desk, it gets paid now. I like to do the same thing with what happens in the community. I don't want to have everything coming back and get passed to notices and stuff like that.
well, we
That's
shouldn't
just
give
me.
past student notice.
You're still within the
Sure.
30 days and I get all that stuff,
Mhm.
but I don't want to look at stuff.
They're still approving bills, so that bills can.
Right, so bills can come in.
Okay.
And we will, I mean, we.
We're
get
still
them
processing it
daily.
in the office.
Yeah.
So, and that's all happening anyway.
And we've already talked about giving her authority at a certain level as well, so.
Any question about my budget?
Yeah, do you
I
have
have,
flexibility?
I have the latest print off right here that you sent me the other day. And this is up until August 1st, you sent it to me. and it's 43% that I spent.
Okay.
And the reason why I brought that up again with the vehicle repair line is I know there's some lines in here that will more than cover it. Because we'll get everything done Friday, there's nothing else that's gonna come up between now and September and inspection time.
Mhm.
Hopefully we can skate through to the end of the year without any other big issues.
Mhm.
But there's some line items within my budget that I will not go after to make sure I have enough of a buffer. One of them, it's the same one we play with all the time.
Hose. How did I know that?
If I had the money and I didn't need to spend it, I'd go get my hose, but if I have something else that's a lot more pressing,
Yeah.
we're fine with the hose now, I can always augment it, but that would be one place where I know we can pick
Yep.
up stuff.
Which, on his budget right now, he has 3,000 in hose. So he's saying that that's something that you can never tell, if it's a big
I
fire,
mean,
you
even
could
at
lose a
that-
lot of hose, but you know.
Sure, and we might lose something, well,
Yeah.
you know what one piece of 4-inch hose costs now? So I ain't getting much.
Yeah.
But the thing of it is that, another bill, oh, I'm notified, so I'm gonna end up blowing this up. But I just wanted to give you all the update on that stuff.
Okay.
I mean, even if we say, you know, we had $1,000 expenditure for vehicle repairs that came out of hose, I still have money in hose left that I could use.
Mhm.
Just trying to balance that. Okay. Thank you for listening. I'm sorry if I had all my toys and was kind
That's all
of
right.
chained up.
I got it.
Be safe.
Be safe.
Yes, thank you, thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Okay. Bob? George just went out the door.
Yeah, he's gonna talk to Mark for a minute.
Oh, okay.
Good evening,
Good evening.
welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Just my short, if you give me a call next couple of days, I need to set you up with security here.
Okay.
So,
Keep it
need some information from
Give
you.
me a alarm. Give me an alarm.
Okay, back in June, we had an issue with the camera system. We had 3 cameras up and down. Had a service call to Pro Technologies, they came in, they had to do something with the software, do what they need to do. I anticipated the bill to come in either at $199 or $200, it came in at $202.50. So, I have a purchase order number here, 1696 to Pro Technologies, the amount of $202.50, and that will come out of Town Hall repairs.
So this was building cameras, not cruiser
Right, this is building cameras.
So I'll move purchase order 1696 to Pro Technologies for $202.50 for emergency repair of building video.
Do you want a second?
Seconded,
All right, open for discussion.
open for discussion.
Okay, any questions on that? No? Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, so we'll call the vote. All those in favor of purchase order 1696, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right.
We had Martel Plumbing come in and take a look at our combination sink toilet unit that we have in the detention room, because both of the hot and cold water knobs have been pushed down into the unit itself. So they came out and did an emergency repair service for that, and just what happened was the flanges inside are made of plastic, and just over 21 years, they just deteriorated and fell through. So I anticipate the bill to be around $200, but I have a purchase order made of $250 just in case. So purchase order number 1700 to Martel Plumbing out of Dover, the amount of $250, and that will come out of town hall maintenance.
You want to make a motion to accept and give out the purchase order number and who it's to?
Motion to accept purchase order number 1700 to Martel Plumbing
The amount of,
for $250.
I'll second it.
okay, discussion?
So they already made the repair?
Yes.
Or- Okay.
They're
just so we
actually-
got the-
They were here 3 weeks ago, and they had to order the part out of California, and they're here today to put it back in.
Oh. Any discussion? No? All those in favor of purchase order 1700, say aye.
Aye.
Passed.
We did have a local plumber look at it, he was not able to repair it,
No?
so that's why we went to Martel. Okay, the town hall is in dire need of a battery for its AED. The highway department needs a battery for one of their AEDs, and the police department needs a battery for one of our AEDs. So I purchased order number 1699 to one bead CPR and AED. One bead,
B,
BEAD,
B, A, D,
CPR,
C, P,
and AED.
I want to look at it.
Sure. The grand total is $278.64. Battery for the police would come out of police supplies, the battery for the highway department would come out of highway supplies. I guess I'm assuming one for the town hall would come out of town hall maintenance?
Sure, or supplies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll move purchase order 1699 to one bead CPR and AED for $278.64 for 3 AED batteries.
Seconded, okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'll have it go this way and then so I can see it. Then I'll send it the other
No
way.
worries.
Okay?
Okay, Townsend has been in the last week and a half, almost every day. They've gone through the entire system. All of the coils have been cleaned, including upstairs here. They've installed some trap doors downstairs because of the way the equipment was installed originally. It was installed improperly, so they have coils behind each other when they should actually be separate. So they installed trap doors so folks can get in and clean them in the future. While they were here, they looked at the unit that we've been covering that's constantly draining, and this is the one that they've been telling us for years now. They need to put a drain, you should put a drain in going directly outside the building in the back wall here. So I said, what's it gonna cost? I said, about $20. And he said, it'd be cheaper now, while we're here to do it, then have us come back on a service call. So I told them last Friday, just do it. So they were here today, they finished up with the coils up here, cleaned it all out, and then they installed the drain line going in the back there. I don't anticipate that we should be receiving any bill for any of the work except maybe for the installation of the drain line.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a purchase order for that just in case. I'm kind of hoping that they'll do it for us for nothing, since they're already here. But purchase order number 1698 to Townsend Energy for the amount of $300. Now, again, will come out of town hall maintenance.
Motion to accept purchase order 1698 to Townsend for $300.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? No? Any discussion?
No.
No? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passed. I have a question about Townsend though.
Yes.
Did they say anything about the furnace and what is it, a hole in it or something? A cover, on the cover?
The cover has a hole in it.
Yeah.
And of course, the insurance company is concerned because, you know, a hole is your last line of defense.
Mhm.
Should the internal mechanism fail, you could possibly have fire come out of it. Townsend says it really doesn't need to be replaced, it looks bad, but
Well, Dick
It's-
Fortier had mentioned that he thought it should be replaced as well, right?
Well, yes, but not so much that it needed to be replaced, so much as that was the only deficiency you could see in the boiler.
Right.
Okay. So it's not something that, and I don't know what physically, it's not something that you could put a metal patch
they could
over?
probably put a piece of sheet metal on that and
That's- that-
cover that up, yeah.
Would that be acceptable with the insurance company?
I would think so, but it seems to me that, I don't know because it's rather old, but they should be able to buy a part for it and just,
Yeah, you
Which
could just
may be
able to
more
buy that
expensive
side
than-
and have
Yeah.
to screw it back on type of thing.
Yeah.
I can check with them and let
See if
you
they
know.
can give them a price on that?
Sure.
All right, I appreciate that. Any other?
I do, yes.
Okay.
Back when we discussed the proposed salaries for all the officers
Mhm.
several months ago,
Mhm.
Officer Brooks was set to have his pay increased as of August 4th to 22.22. And so we just need to have the select board sign off on that. So Caroline has that in her records.
We already voted on this.
Yes.
But it doesn't have your name on there because we didn't know about you. So, so we'll let this go ahead and.
But in the future, we'll
In the
make sure
future,
that it's on there.
yeah.
May I keep this
You
and then
may-
I'll
yeah, sure.
give you a copy?
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
And the last item that I have for the board is Officer Hancock, or Sergeant Hancock, and his carryover for his vacation time from 2019 to 2020. He carried over 62 hours and 62.54 hours. He's only used 6 hours of that carryover for the 62 hours from last year. I'm asking the board to waive the July 1 cutoff where he would lose his carryover, where we've been so short-handed for the first 6 months of the year, and allow him to hopefully, use the rest of it between now and the end of the year. And it still might be difficult because he's scheduled to work with Jerry when Sherry graduates from the academy this coming Friday, so
It's Friday.
this Friday, it's been 15 weeks already. So I'm just asking the board if they would mind waiving that.
So what is the policy? I don't know.
The policy is that any time, any accrued time from one year's earnings that you do not use, you have until June 30th of the following year to use, in addition to whatever you're accruing in that following year. And then it expires. You can't carry your time indefinitely. It expires 6 months after the previous year ends.
I think that this is an extenuating circumstance
Yeah.
because of, we lost, how many? 3, 2?
Well, at one
2
point, we
and
were down-
one
just
out
down
for
3 of us,
illness.
yes.
So we were down 3 police officers this year due to just 2 leaving and 1 illness. So there was, he was one of, you, him and the lieutenant were
Correct.
pretty much the only full-timers that were available to her. So I think this is kind of like an extenuating circumstance.
I agree. I
Would-
don't see him as a.
Yeah, would he be able to use what he carried over this year, do you think? And then carry over this year's to next?
Well, that's what the plan is, try to
Okay.
get him to use as much as he can as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to keep on carrying over, you know.
I mean,
he can use-
worst case scenario, depending on what we have for surplus, but there will be some surplus because of the line items for the
Mhm,
salaries.
mhm.
If he does have an exorbitant amount to carry over again, we might do like we did last year. We paid him for a couple of weeks rather than
Mhm.
letting him take the time off and then paying someone to cover for him. So, in the long run, it would still benefit the town if we just paid him, get it off the books as opposed to having someone take his place to work those shifts.
I agree, but there is,
But at some point, you have to,
well, there is something to be said about having time off
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
recovering and getting
Yeah.
yourself back
yeah.
energized and stuff, so I wouldn't want him to not take some time off, but if he, I mean, you still got some time left.
Well, if you're looking at the 62 carryover and he's used 6, by the end of the year, he'll have almost 180 hours all total, so.
That he needs to carry
He can get
forward,
that used.
yeah. Okay. And let's use the carryover first, please,
Yeah.
and then we'll talk about the other one later. Yeah, I'd like to see him have some fun.
Well, I'm sure he'll take some time off, just whether or not
Okay.
he'll be able to take the entire time. That's all that I have for, well, I guess I do agree with the fire chief. Obviously, my bills aren't as big as his bills or the highway department
Yeah.
bills, but in the event that, something for $210, $250 pops up, you have to wait or get your hands spanked, 2 weeks later, coming here to get the purchase order signed out.
We don't
And I
spank
think-
hands very
Yeah,
often.
yeah, true. I think it's just comments, and I know we
Yeah.
talked about the beginning of the year,
Yeah.
but I know you guys are busy, and
Mhm.
we just got, kind of on the back burner. So at least we can open the discussion again for the future.
Absolutely, I think that we'll discuss like all 3 departments, it will all be like, it will be for all of them,
Yeah.
the public safety, the three of them, just we'll address it across the board.
That's all that I have for you, nothing from me. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good night, welcome aboard again.
Thank you.
Come on down, George. Come on down. George is our highway road agent.
Hi.
Are we ready?
Sure. Well,
Did you see what I,
I did. Did you get a copy of this?
Mm,
Did you get a
Yeah, yes,
Does she have one?
I think it's in there. I think it's
it's under,
under your, yeah. You're talking about this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that happened this year is we have a road maintenance, which we had paved Heritage, Moses Clark, Sligo this year. So there is some surplus left over. So this is what he's proposing.
I didn't put one myself, so. My plan is to take the Sligo Road culvert and take the top pipe out, open up the top of the culvert, and take the pipe that he stuffed in there and open this back up to normal size to eliminate the problem we've been having with flooding every time we get a major rain. But my plan is to put a concrete pad over the top of that to reassure that we don't have any collapsing. And that stuff we can do ourselves. You know, we basically the same size pad as we did for the baler, so it's not a lot of money. So the whole project, I put 5,000 down, I don't think it's gonna cost 3. These are all higher than what, in case we have some unforeseen circumstances, so I did make POs for up to certain amounts.
Okay, so the 5,000 is just for the supplies and the work, it's not their labor?
Correct.
I just make sure she understood that. Okay, okay.
No, it's gonna be done in-house.
In-house, so
Everything's gonna be done in-house.
staff is-
Except if we, unless we run into something that, you know, our machine won't lift something or something like that. But I don't foresee any major problems in getting this done. And that's something I'd like to get done this year because the road is collapsing and where that pipe is.
Yeah.
so can you tell, this isn't the,
This is the one where the
No.
dam is, right below Robin Aikman's.
oh, okay, I'm sorry, I'm with
The
you.
other one, we're still waiting on permitting if we need to.
Yep.
And
So,
that's what,
and that was in the culvert fund, in the plan originally. so-
Yep,
So this is the separate one. And this is, if we do the road next year, this should be done this year.
yep,
The second thing is, there is a significant amount of money left in the road budget. And I was speaking with Belanger Paving about the cost of doing the side parking lot at the fire station. Where I worked with him, prepping driveways and stuff before, he told me, he said, if you prep that driveway, which you're very capable of doing, we'll do the paving for just the price of the hot top. Laying it down at their price at $120 a ton, which is about a $6,000 savings. So I put it in for $14,000, and we have the money there, which is still gonna give us a bit surplus. We're still gonna have $10,000 left by the time we get done all these projects. So that's something I'd like to do.
have you talked to Mark?
Yeah,
And he's on board?
absolutely.
Okay, so it's the whole length of the building,
The dirt parking lot,
the whole length of the building is the dirt parking lot, right? And then it's gonna go, and then you're gonna have a road like to go onto the road.
same,
Yeah,
the width of the building.
yeah.
It's,
This is on the overside side of the building, the fire station.
yeah.
all the dirt parking lot will be cleaned up
Yep,
and paved.
okay, that's awesome.
the
'Cause
parking lot's a nightmare.
it is in the winter, for
Yes.
sure, and there's
So,
nothing you can do about
I
it in
mean,
winter. So this would be
$14,000
great.
was
No, that's awesome.
cheap money.
Yep,
So and that may be a little high also. So in case, you know, we might have to put some gravel in there, but the gravel is good there, it's just gotta be regraded, pitched away from the building so the water runs off.
yep. yep.
So that's stuff we can do ourselves.
Now, on the other side of the station, is that all Mark needs there? Is that,
You run into the septic.
I
no,
don't
no, no, I
wanna-
don't mean backwards, I mean this way a
I know
little
what
bit. It's
you're
a single lane,
They-
but
I didn't get into any of the front of it and stuff,
Yeah.
what we fixed last year or anything like that. But in stormwater, we're talking about, we have to have some oil recovery, you
Yeah.
know, drainage and stuff
I
like
think
that.
we should leave it
So
alone right now.
my suggestion is to leave it until we get to
Yeah.
have the right pitch and get everything going the right way.
Yep.
So,
Yep, I agree.
mean, I have POs for all this. Do you
Mhm.
want to do them individually, or you
Well,
want
let's
to
go
go over
through
the whole,
it.
want to go over the whole list first?
For her benefit as well.
Okay. And then the Church Street water issue we have down there, I believe we can fix that for about $1,500. Just pave it on an angle so the water stays in the road, and then we'll just fill in behind it. They'll have a little ramp to get up instead of, you know, going into a pothole or what have you, and the water will all run down Church Street to the corner and go down into the river. Guardrail on Sligo Road, I looked at different options, making them myself. I'm waiting for a price from Middleton Lumber right now for this guardrail material. It's all pressure treated, instead of having a metal guardrail, it would be more, look better for that area.
Would it be all wood versus no metal?
No metal.
Oh, okay.
On both sides? or-
Yeah, both sides.
Okay.
Now, were we waiting for approval to do that? No,
No, the
not this,
guardrail.
not this section?
Not the guardrail.
No, guardrail has nothing to do with it.
Oh, okay. I thought we were talking about guardrail with,
Well, we were gonna go to Pike, and then they would have had to go with the expensive guardrails that
Okay.
they installed them
okay.
with the crash barriers and all that. Towns have the option of doing their own thing with guardrails, like you see someplace where they have posted cables,
Okay.
the state has done that.
But the permit, I think she's.
Aaron,
Yeah.
Ledge hands, I think she's asking, inquiring about.
Guardrails could have nothing to do with that, and we're not gonna touch the other side unless we won't do the other side until it's fixed.
Okay, okay.
But I've
So we're
still
all
got
set
the
with
price
that
of
then?
materials, so we can at least have it when we're ready to do it.
Okay, all right.
I will check that, but I think we are.
All right, I just thought that we had to ask somebody when Aaron was
And
here.
my guess is, we're almost 3 months into this already,
Mhm.
and there was a 75-day window. If they don't come and look at it, there's not gonna be no permit required.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
It's a maintenance
Just run
issue,
by Aaron. Okay,
You know, and this is a maintenance issue versus a
Yep.
rebuild issue.
Yep.
And Aaron said that, you know, sometimes they won't even come and look at it and say, just fix what you gotta fix, because we're not gonna interfere with the water flow or anything like that, we're just trying to shore up the bankers,
right, right,
you know, and that's usually a maintenance issue.
okay.
Their concern is, you know, like I said, we're almost 90 days into this project, here, we're already waiting for permitting, and we haven't heard nothing or seen nothing.
Right, you're not doing it tomorrow, right?
You know.
No, okay, so we'll just.
We have
we'll
plenty
just-
to do.
Okay, we'll just talk to Aaron.
Right. And then we have a drainage issue on Cricket Lane, of course, that you've seen. There is no culverts in there that we could find whatsoever. And the best thing that we come up with would be to put a storm drain on each corner before it goes into the cul-de-sac. We put one main storm drain in the center of the cul-de-sac and bank this down and have it run into the right of way. With a total material price of about $6,000 or $7,000.
So, did we go in there and clean that out
We
yet?
cleaned it out,
Oh, okay.
tried to find it, just, like, we was told
Okay.
that there was
There's no drain.
culverts in there, there's no drainage in the center of that, or anything, and it was full of, I mean, maybe natural leaves, maybe, you know, it looked like there was some dumping in there, but
So you think it wasn't the leaf built up in there that was causing it to?
no, I mean, you can see where the water runs down the side of the road, it has no place to go, so it's going into the yards and stuff
Okay,
like that.
okay.
So where the road comes down straight and goes into the cul-de-sac, the plan shows that there was a storm drain
Yeah,
on the left side of the road going down,
Yeah.
that went into the center and then out to the other side into the right of way. I'm sure if they're rotted out, then they really rotted out, but we couldn't find nothing.
okay.
So we cleaned it right up. I tried both sides of it, and where the cracks in the road where you think there'd be a pipe, we couldn't find nothing. So my thought is to put a catch basin, just a basin on each side of the road, and run it to a big culvert in the center of it, and run all of it out. So it has a place to catch the dirt and stuff, so it doesn't go out into the woods. And that catch basin can be cleaned.
Mhm.
instead of, they just have a small slope on the top so the water all runs into the catch basin in the center of the culvert, instead of having a big place where they can dump stuff or, put a lawn in there. If they don't take care of it, we can run them over there.
Okay.
But that would be, something that I think would be a better fix than trying to put culverts in the driveways. Most of the water's gonna get stopped before it gets to the culverts.
So how does that, his plan affect stormwater at all?
It does not affect stormwater because it's not going, there's no outlet into
The
a
water?
river or water system,
Okay.
yeah.
So it would be to take care of the water issue that they have in that neighborhood, even if they were to create a personal problem by themselves.
Okay.
But that's, what we looked at. Of course, these prices were estimated high, it should be lower than anything, and it's still gonna give us over $10,000 left for other unforeseen things that come up.
And so we've looked and the big bills are already out of there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, using it for road projects is,
That's where you need to be using it, absolutely, I agree.
so,
Okay. Do you have any questions?
No.
No? Okay. So you're gonna do purchase order by purchase order?
a purchase order for about $3,000 of Pepin concrete that would be for the slab on top of the culvert down on Sligo if deemed necessary. So,
So do you have purchase orders for like, okay, this is an outside contractor that we don't pay.
Mm-hmm.
we, bring
so-
the concrete in, that's it, it's
Okay.
just bringing the concrete to us,
All right.
and if we need it.
I'll move purchase order 1667 to Pepin Concrete for up to $3,000.
Okay.
Yeah, we may have to buy rebar and stuff on what to put in there to make it stronger.
Was it accepted,
Or something else.
seconded?
All right. Any further discussion on this? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
This is a purchase order for up to $14,000 of range of pavement for the hot top for the fire.
Accepted purchase order number 1668 for Boulanger Paving Incorporated for up to $14,000.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? So that's for the fire station parking lot. Does it say it on there? Yep. Okay.
Yep.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, you can take it.
Okay, this is, there's two POs here for the Cricket Lane project to be eliminated system for the culvert pipe for $1,300. And then the basins and catch basin grates for up to $5,000 from Genesee Cat. If you want them individually,
As, we'll move them separately. So I'll move purchase order 1670 to Jeunesse Precast for up to $5,000.
like I said, I don't believe any of that's gonna come in anyway.
Seconded?
All right, any further discussion? This is for the Cricket Lane, right?
Correct, Cricket Lane project.
Let's get that on there. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. And so I'll move purchase order 1671 to Eliminator Systems Incorporated for up to $1,300 for culvert pipe.
Okay.
Seconded?
All right, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Guy was not gonna cost anywhere near $5,000, I put it in for $5,000.
This is for the wooden
The
ones.
wooden guardrails, middle.
Move to accept purchase order number 1672 for Middleton Lumber for guardrail material for up to $15,000.
15,000 or
You had
5,000?
5,000 here.
Did I
Oh,
write
it
15?
looks like 15.
Oh, it's
No, it's 5, yeah, that's
5,000.
5,000.
I'll second that for 5,000.
You wouldn't
I can't do that.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I didn't make out the one for the hot top yet because I didn't know whether to use pipe or rocks. And pipe's treated as very good, so I'm planning on, I was gonna wait before we get, I'll do the other PO for Church Street. And we're not gonna get there in a couple weeks, so I'll do it at the next meeting or
Okay.
following meeting. But that's still part of that,
Mhm.
the same amount of money. Okay, those projects are complete. In storm drain meetings, we talked about leaks and cleanup for, the leaks for stormwater issues and stuff like that. Last year I borrowed the debris vac from Selden Housing to suck up the leaves and stuff when we do cleanups. We can use it along the curb lines to clean up leaves. A lot of times we have leaves that wash into drainage, several locations in town. Into storm drains, we have to go out and rake them up and stuff like that. We just rake them aside, of course, they end up back in the ditches. My plan is, we have money left in the equipment fund, is to purchase a Billy Goat 14 horse leaf debris loader. So we can go out and do our cleanups and suck the leaves up and stuff around town. As needed, like when we do spring cleanups in the parks and stuff, we pile everything up. We tried loading with the loader one time, it was just more stuff falling out of the truck instead of into the truck. And so my plan was to purchase a leaf loader and leaf blower, leaf vac, so we can clean up most of our own, debris, and it's for $3,142, which we have still $5,000 left in
Move it, then we can discuss. I'll move purchase order 1666 to Brentwood Power Equipment for $3,143.
Second, okay, discussion?
Some of the items we bought in our equipment fund were lower than I had planned, so we had the money available to do that, and then it's not something you're gonna use every day, you're gonna use it in the spring, you're gonna use it in the fall for the leaf cleanup, and I think it'll help us a lot to keep a lot of the leaves out of the storm drain system. I don't know what,
Do we know what's left in that equipment?
This is Q2.
it's still gonna be, it's not up to date, because we just hit the bill for the paint machine.
Right. So before the paint machine, this is at the end of the second quarter, it only spent $2,500 on the $15,000 line. So there's plenty of money.
How much was the paint machine? I think it's
41.
49.
With the assessment bill.
So you still have about $8,000.
Okay.
Is there anything in the plans coming from now to the end of the year that you might be looking for either?
No,
Okay.
we looked at it, and actually, in the quote budget, I believe I built the equipment, down $5,000.
Okay.
Try to get some of these this year where we had the money available. I have to put it in next year's budget.
All right, any discussion?
Nope.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the paint machine works fine.
I saw some of your master work on the Rollins Road.
So road project, I want to relook at the computer. And like, every time I go to type something, it just keeps shutting off on me, so I like to be able to purchase that computer that we already have, for that we could put on hold.
It's in the correspondence folder.
I'd like to wait for the next meeting. If we can. Is that
Another
okay?
month, they could have. But, I mean, someone seriously wants that.
Is that quote from Tom?
Yes.
Okay. Because if he gets it, is he now gonna have to get the Microsoft as well? On the new computer? So that
Unless they
increases it.
can make do with, yes, it is. Unless they can make do
With
with
Google.
Google.
What's your thoughts? Huh? No, I mean, what are your thoughts? Can you handle the Google, Excel, and Word and all of those? Or do you need Microsoft?
I'm capable of handling what we have now.
Well, what do you have?
They're just the basics. No,
Well, so if I send you a spreadsheet, what program are you using to open it?
oh. God, I don't know, I don't know what I usually want.
Is it green or is it in a, by an internet browser?
Is it a program or is it in the internet?
How about if you just
I'm
kind of let it roll top?
I'm not a computer guru, you know that?
I'm not trying to
I
put you on
had
blast
etch a
either.
sketches when I was growing up.
It's just, it's another cost that we'll have to incur because we had to put them on all of the town because of the internet. I mean, the Microsoft was expiring, or is that what it was? They were expiring?
We're out of licenses.
We're out of licenses.
Oh.
So it would be another license that we would have to get this year as well. So, yeah, we'll find out.
I will, I'll come visit.
That'd be nice.
We actually all should.
Well, that's on the agenda,
Okay.
actually.
Another proposal. Mike Spinney's son, turned 16. He'd like to do a work study, and I highly encourage doing a work study program, get some kids back into the trades. Not paying them the big money, of course, pay them a lower the rate of the transfer station pennies or whatever, but, he can do certain jobs. I like a lot of the stuff that you sent me today, that he can do, handwork and stuff like that. And not use them all the time, but I'd like to be able to use them as needed to, show them some of the traits. I started my career in job shadowing and job trade shoot at 2 school work study programs. And I just want your thoughts on this.
So George brought this to my attention, and given that he's under 18, I talked to the insurance company about liability for being around heavy equipment and such. That's the material he's referring to. They sent me a bunch of other things regarding child labor laws from the Department of Labor. So we have a bunch of information to read through. Their primary recommendation is you need a job description. And in calling it like, sort of a student work study position or something like that would be helpful, as opposed to, it's clear that this position isn't open to doing all of the regular duties that somebody else would be able to do. And that needs to be reflected in the job description so that it's clear why you're hiring some people over other people. But it's not that it's not allowed necessarily or discouraged even from the insurance company.
No, is this are you going through the school through this
I haven't
program?
talked to school, I want to bring it up first.
Where's this going?
Until we go to Marshwood.
Okay.
And then we'll have to have working pages through the school either way.
Right,
So-
right. Why don't you just kind of get everything together and work with Caroline on,
So do
What
you want me to help
insurance is
him, we'll
in-
work on a job description for
Yeah.
the board to evaluate?
yeah, and based on the information from the insurance companies as well.
Right.
I
I mean, it makes a lot more exceptions apparently, the way I read it tonight, where if they're in the job, the school work study program, they get a little bit more leeway on doing it. Of course, not with tools, certain tools.
But that would also mean
We have to
working
get-
with the school
Right,
and.
that's correct. I mean, yeah,
And that's a different whole level of thing than just having a job description for a job
Right.
opportunity that's good for students who want to learn.
Because what is his availability? If he's in school Monday through Friday,
Well, I mean, they can work so many hours, like in the afternoons, they can come in
but
after,
you go home at 3:30.
well, 4:30 right now.
Okay.
Well, but it's summer though.
Right.
That's only
And
summer.
in the summertime,
Well, because you're working a 10-hour
right,
day.
but I mean, we could, when he's in, I work even through, with the school approval, I did some of the stuff with the highway.
Well, summer, yeah, that's, see,
Right.
you're asking now, which is in the
Right,
school
right.
year, and you don't work
But they're
Saturdays.
days off,
So-
but we could use them at the transfer station.
Okay,
You know, it depends, you know, as long as he's not touching machinery and stuff like that.
okay,
You know, we have an extra set of hands to get cleaned up around the yard or what have you.
okay.
So if you're suggesting that this is a program that the school is accrediting in some way, which
Mhm.
would allow him to miss school hours in order to work and learn, that's gonna be a bigger process to work with the school with this job description to make sure that there are learning objectives and other things that result in what exactly? Is he like certified in something, or is he got some kind of, you know, like what is the goal as far as the school is concerned if they wanna go
See,
through?
I did it.
But that's not gonna be a quick process
No, no, I know,
with the
I
school.
understand that, but I mean, that would help us get him to be able to do other things too. I mean, if the school, you know, sees where we're going, even if, I'm sure they could work things out to get this program moving a little quicker once we approach it. You know,
The other thing is, I mean, we also have the grade school, that maybe he could be learning something with Dick.
Yes,
You know, in the
but-
functionings of, you know, what Dick does at the school. I mean, if the school is allowing it, we might be able to work together with the school as well on some opportunities there, because they have night work,
right,
versus you guys don't, so.
so I think this is going to end up in a select board, school board conversation over a policy, because this is a program. You know, this is,
And maybe the school can give us something through their VOTEC program. They may have something that they can give us to work with.
well,
but process with
Right.
school board and
see,
select
I
board.
was a
so-
mechanic's helper when I did it as a mechanic's helper, but I was driving this auto plow 16 years old.
Yeah, well, that's back
And,
then,
Of course, the
George.
transit today is gone, you know, but
Yeah.
that, but they're talking about trying to get the trades back out there,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
I think there's a perfect opportunity to try to get some of that going.
mhm.
You know, it's, you know, it gives us extra help, it gives, you know, it gives them a little bit of knowledge of what we do and different kind of things we do.
It may be, depending on how quickly you want to move this along, maybe a two-stepped approach of developing a job description and having the board decide that you do or don't approve the job description and the idea of this as an employee, while at the same time working with the school board
Mhm.
about a program, and if they're interested in talking about a program and working out the details of that, because that's gonna take a number of months, whereas a job description and the board approval could happen relatively
It's
quickly.
just, you still have an open,
Yeah, we have,
you have an open rack. I mean,
You have an open transfer station job,
Right.
right? That's it.
which he could probably only do Saturdays, right?
Saturdays, well,
Well, but he's,
so right now we get the Monday nights.
Yeah, but,
well, I know, but that's,
Yeah.
I think you're rushing it.
No,
Yeah,
no,
we have to
right.
make sure that we get everything,
but
so Wednesday, Monday
to,
night.
to
And that's,
hire him
and that's
as
gonna
a
be gone away by
part-time
the time this
employee.
gets,
That's what my
Right.
point, yeah.
but, I mean, you still get your Saturdays, and then
Mhm.
if he has time after school to come in for an hour or two to, you know, wash the trucks, you know, stuff he can do, you know.
Well, that's not a trade, though. I
No,
mean,
but-
you're mixing things up a
No,
little bit.
but,
I mean, if you're looking for a part-time employee, that's one thing. If you're looking for a trade to,
Well, I'm trying to
Teach
build it
people.
both into both, you know.
okay, well, then that's a little different.
it's gonna be, so that's where the job description's gonna matter,
Mhm.
and in your
Right.
job description for the job now may be different from what this program's gonna
Right, the
look like
school
with the
wants.
school,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
You know,
If they're looking for trade, you know, then,
Then they want practical hands-on experience.
right, right. Which would be the summertime mostly, because that's when you're doing your jobs,
yeah.
you know, most of your big work. But,
But I mean, if he could come in, you know, to get to the school program, and they give him like in the afternoons. When we're doing projects, he could be involved with that kind of stuff.
think it
I
warrants
would-
more discussion.
Right,
but
I mean,
let's-
it's not, you know, that's why I wanted to bring it up, you
Yeah.
know.
Let's just kind of look at job descriptions and see, and have him do some homework working with the school to see what the school
Yeah, I'll
location
talk with Mike.
part of it,
and
you know. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's a good idea as long as it's for the right purpose.
stuff. The new truck body is due to be delivered now, September 20th. Hide my
Let's
hands
hope we
up
get
to
it
the-
before it
You will have
snows.
it. As soon as the body comes in, they're putting it in the shop, they're gonna jump hoops there. I had many discussions with these people, and I'll tell you what, it'll be a long time before I wanna go with them again. I mean, there's no need for this. And I think next time if we ever do purchase another truck, there ought to be a clause in there that there's a delivery date.
Penalty if they don't need it,
Penalty.
yeah.
And that's what's happening to have, these companies are taking advantage of not having it.
Mhm,
Because everybody that has the clause in there has their truck on time.
mhm.
I mean, that's an oversight on my part probably this time, but I thinking it was a demo and
Yeah,
have
the
this truck
truck
in
was
there right there. The truck was there in March.
Right,
You know,
right.
sitting in their lot, there's no
Right.
reason, whether they use the body on somebody else's truck, you know, they had to meet a deadline. I don't know that, and you'll never know that.
Mhm,
So I've been, again, on the phone with them last Thursday, that's the same answers, I keep getting the same, same whole stuff. This is the promised date now, so I did tell them that it would not be acceptable to be any later than, we need that truck.
have we paid them before?
No.
No,
we
the
haven't
check
taken it
has been written, so
Yep.
you'll see it in the
Yeah,
financial statements,
but
but
we
it has
haven't
not been
mailed it.
sent, yes.
And you don't do it until you get it?
No.
But,
They're not
Yes.
getting nothing.
good. Okay.
I actually had thoughts of looking at elsewhere, but with the deal we had on that truck,
Mhm,
it would not work, so.
mhm.
It's probably too late for,
There might have been another company out there that had a truck similar, but, it's just, they kind of gave us a pretty good deal, but, we're waiting for that deal,
Mhm,
so. Do you have anything for me?
mhm. Oh, well, we want to talk about a highway visit. Through our last visit, the Board of Selectmen made a visit and spoke with the fire department and the police department, and we would like to have the opportunity to come and look at your facility, meet your staff, have
Everybody.
a sit-down with them,
Would you-
transfer and highway.
When would you want to do this?
You tell us when is best for you,
Well,
because
getting
that's,
the part-timers there, it's the plowing people.
well,
The evening?
we may be able to, maybe we can do,
I could probably get them to come in on the evening, I mean,
yeah, well, why don't you talk to Ed and kind of talk to your people and see what's best fit for them, and then we can
I
put
mean,
it
the
on.
plow guys, it's just Mike Dione and Jimmy Sherman basically that would be available. We could probably do it in the afternoon, like on a Monday before they open the transfer station or.
Well,
or you
I
guys-
work.
That's right. So,
Miles works.
Yeah.
you tell me,
That's okay.
we'll work it out.
Yeah, it would have to probably be an evening or Saturday morning, if worst case scenario.
Works that, because,
Yeah,
it's,
so.
at the beginning, they get, everybody from the transfer station on Saturday, well, the dump's open,
Mhm.
is an issue.
It could also be a Monday night, maybe the first Monday that the transfer station is not open, that the board start its meeting there.
Yep.
Or just do its
Yeah.
not do its meeting there, but maybe that's an off
Yeah, and I could
week.
probably get Jimmy and Mike to come in one of those days.
Yeah, we just want to give the same
Yeah.
opportunity to
Right.
your staff and the transfer staff
Yeah,
that
I
we
mean-
gave to the police and fire. And I think we need to have open communication with all departments, and it's just our way of doing that, so.
No,
See what you can,
I
talk to your
agree.
people
No,
and
no
see
problem with
what
that.
is best, and we'll work
Yeah, we
around
probably,
it.
that would be the end of September, we change over, right?
I think it's Columbus Day. No, we moved it to September, so it's the end of September.
Yeah, I mean-
beginning of
I mean, the week,
October.
the first week in October, something like that, right after all.
Yeah, so we can, you just tell us, if Monday works, and we can maybe start our meeting a little earlier.
Yeah,
And, what time do you get out normally?
Usually around 5. 540 or so.
Okay, all right. So, but yeah, so just get back to us on that, what works for you. We'll leave it on the agenda. Okay?
Kate brought up a point this morning, Caroline and I, about speed limits again. She was going to but they see speed limits painted in the road. You know,
It won't make a bit of difference.
no, it won't, and then that's what we said, but I figured I'd bring it up. She, you know,
Well,
Put
it'll
spikes
take
in the
Chief
road,
Duchamp,
slow
he's
them
the
down.
one that
So-
imposes speed limits.
Are you working on double yellow lines? Because it might be a good time, if you're gonna do double yellow lines, include the sidewalk line on Heritage at the same time.
like they changed paint.
What?
You change the paint color, it's gonna
It's gonna
up your
increase the
cost.
price.
Yeah,
We can do it without shit. It takes 3 5-gallon barrel of paint to do that.
Just
the sidewalk
the
line.
sidewalk line.
Just a one line.
Because the other one is a company that we hired to do the double yellows.
Yes, that's,
Yeah.
yeah, right, and that company has been, they will be coming in September.
So reducing, like visually reducing the width of the road may help.
The road's the widest road in town.
Yeah.
So taking 5 feet off the side to have a walk area may slow people down. It looks like a sidewalk, it's definitely cheaper than putting a sidewalk with curb in it.
Yeah.
About $150 of paint by the time you get it painted, so it's.
If she's got caught speeding, she needs to talk to Chief
They've
Duchamp.
done-
I
they've
mean,
done- they-
Yeah. she's-
Apparently,
she's coming.
they've been there several times, so it's,
yeah, I mean, we all have our speeders on every road there is, but I mean,
Right, you know.
that's Bobby's responsibility.
right, and
And-
90% will live there, I guarantee it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But I still think the sidewalk thing is a good idea,
Yeah.
and that might deter them a little bit, you
Do
know.
you do it on both sides or just
No,
the
just
one,
one.
one
Just
side?
Well, at least give people a safer place
To walk.
to walk,
Correct.
Mhm.
which I think.
You know, we can't take 5 feet out of that road.
Yeah,
That, I understand though.
Yeah.
A lot of people walk down that road.
mhm.
So, we're gonna probably post downtown, no parking one night, so we can get the early morning painting in before, and sweeping before. As soon as I hear from the sweeping company, we'll get that swept, and then we'll get it, try to paint it probably the same day, weather permitting, so I'm not sure when that's gonna be, so.
So are we going to just like disregard the state roads and not worry about that, even though they go down into the town roads and contaminate us again?
She's talking about sweeping.
Yep,
I think they'll sweep Main Street down to the corner.
But that's the only one we really need to worry about because it's really
The only
about
curb-
streets
The only place
with
where the curb
curbing.
ends up.
okay. Yeah, but how far up Main Street?
I would say to
Okay.
Vicaris or,
Well, we didn't, no, we're not going up there to sweep those spots. That's state road that they're curbing up there, we're not doing ours. There's no curbing beyond Locust Street.
all along Main Street, by in front of Stockdale and
That's
everything.
state.
Well, right, and that's
So
her
the whole road is
question.
state, that's my point. But you're
see,
sitting there-
We're only gonna be sweeping downtown.
My point, and I said, because we're not sweeping Main Street, that stuff is all gonna go down on Front
No,
Street.
but I'm saying, we're gonna sweep Main Street from Foundry downtown.
And
while
how
they
far
move
does
it
Main
down.
Street go?
Main Street goes all
Goes
the
all
way
the way
up
to
there,
the
but
fire
they're not
station.
gonna get all that crap now. That's going in there, this system.
Which turns into our system.
I just don't understand why the state doesn't follow the same rules as we have to follow,
Well, they're
that's my
supposed to.
point. But if,
Well-
if we have to do sweeping twice a year, the
They don't even
state
have
should.
stormwater rules, do they?
They do, they do, we just don't know
We
to
don't
what
have
level,
any
it may be a
control
different
over
kind of
making it
permit.
do anything. I mean,
I mean, we're doing our due diligence and we're getting it done, and then, but if the state road that connects to that road doesn't get done, then it's gonna,
Adversely affect us too,
Yeah.
and Stockdale too, by the way, has curbs.
Well,
we're
paved
gonna
curb, that, most of it doesn't go with, you know, it's not a curbing, regular curbing like down here, where you get as much junk against the curbing. We'll sweep them if you want to.
No, I'm just saying get the state to do it, it's their road, that's all
Well,
I'm
the Main
saying.
Street, yeah.
Why aren't,
Well,
should we
we
place a
can't-
call with the Division 6 and say, you know,
I
stormwater
don't even know if
requires
did they
this, are they
sweep
gonna
this
do
year? I
it?
don't even know if they swept this year.
It's a really interesting point, because we can't compel them, and yet we're living with the repercussions. I
Right.
get that.
Yeah.
They have their own permit, and it may be a different kind of permit with different requirements, since it's not a municipality. So who's to say what they have to do? And if they don't have to sweep, they can choose not to sweep.
But
And we may wanna sweep
ask,
to
and if they
compensate.
say we don't have to because we're not required by law, then we're done and we're doing it.
But it's worth a conversation, I think, to coordinate with them and not sweep it if they're gonna plan to sweep it 3 weeks from now or something.
Right, that's all, I'm just saying, make a call, is it
Division 6,
right?
yeah.
Call the office and ask them what their intention is, because stormwater's requiring us to do twice a year, are you gonna be doing
I'll
this
see what
twice
I
a
can
year?
do with them.
And see what they say about, are they, like, what are their stormwater requirements?
I mean,
For sweeping.
I mean, we gotta go up there, we're gonna take, and all the weeds off the curb and stuff, that sidewalks out, so,
Yeah,
On a state road?
yep.
also.
We maintain that
always.
sidewalk.
Really? Which is why it did not get replaced on Portland Avenue to Cumberland Farms. It was taken out because the state actually offered to install it for free, but the select board at the time didn't want to have to maintain
Where
it
they
in the
need it.
future, so they didn't allow for it to be installed.
Perfect place where they should have a sidewalk.
Absolutely, absolutely. Silver Street would have been real nice too,
Correct.
you know, but,
A lot of people walk from that area down Route 4.
mhm,
You can see where it was taken out.
wow.
It's not a big deal to fix. But again, it would roll it out, take it out, it would be easier to maintain it. But that's beyond me,
Mhm.
so, I don't think I have anything else. Everything's going good, so. Baler's been, we had an issue with the baler, they're replacing the cylinder, they retacked the cylinder. That's, of course, at no cost, so.
This is the new one, the new
We
one.
had a leak in it, so they took it out. It's out right now, that's why you have that enough baler going on. Should be back this week.
Okay.
So,
Well, thank you very much.
I'll talk with Mike, talk to his son, see what way they want to work on it, do a school program. If it's just a part-time job thing, you know, we're trying to get, I think trades need to get back to work.
I agree.
And if there's a way we can help out with that, I'd love to be able to do that, so.
But you don't have a part-time position open in highway. You have a transfer station
We
part-time
have
position.
no part-time right now.
Right, okay. So that would be a little different. You'd have to,
Right, I mean,
looking into
we
doing
have
the
people, I mean,
trade.
we have the part-time line that we could use if we, you know, like, if you're not gonna plow it, not somebody we're gonna use all the time, it's
Yeah.
just, you know, clean the trucks or whatever, help us out with different projects, manual labor or whatever.
All right. Thanks, George. Have a good night. We're gonna do welfare at the end of
At
the
the
night.
end, the
Okay.
others.
Space needs. I would, like to appoint the last two people for the Space Needs Committee so we can proceed with the space needs. This is the police station, proposal for police station. The last two, it's two people that are splitting the position. It's Michael Lapointe, what,
3,
who?
Michael Point, Lucy Putnam, and Julia Roberts.
Oh, the other day we only mentioned Julia and
And
okay,
rotating.
yeah, okay, yeah. It's, 3 people who would like to share, a slot. Michael Point, Julia Roberts, and Lucy Putnam. They would not be there at the same time, it would just, because none of them can commit to the full amount of the, proposal that needs to be done. So we're looking to appoint them to share a position.
Is that your motion?
I'll make that motion that we appoint those 3 people to share a position on the Space Needs Committee.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we need to notify them. We also where do we stand on the police consultant? Did that get on place on order?
They have the contract, they haven't received the check. They should receive the check. They'll schedule things and start moving as soon as they do. So that should be any day now.
So that's our holdup, the check.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
a deposit, yeah.
Okay, so we're hiring a police consultant to come in and evaluate the police department of the, what we have and what we need and get it like,
About it
oh, you did?
last
Okay,
week.
very good. So, we're gonna go forward with that and can you just advise us when they are going to start the program?
Yes.
And I imagine that Chief Duchamp should be notified
Oh,
as well
absolutely.
because they'll be going in the police
Yes,
station, so.
yes.
And once we have that info, because that kind of affects the Space Needs Committee as well, so we need to have that done as soon as we can, so we can get that information to be part of our program, so. All right, shared facilities, we don't have anything on that, do we?
No, and I'm going to remove it because he's now busy with school starting and he said he would provide a report, but he hasn't. And so I think he'll do what he can when he can, but I don't anticipate, I'll just report back when there's something to report back.
That's what I say, that's just communication between you and him, and when you utilize them, you just let us know that if there's something that we should know about on that, yeah. Okay, very good. Also, well, let's hear back from the police consultant first, and then we'll discuss this building as in having a, what do you call it, not feasibility assessment of this building. So we can talk about that later. Okay. Department heads, budget presentation schedule. We need to schedule each of the, okay, she doesn't have any meeting minutes, right? No?
She hasn't, no.
Okay, so the department heads have submitted their budgets for 2020. Caroline
I will share with you a folder on Google Drive. You'll have your own Rollinsford email address that everybody else has. And with that, you'll have documents that are automatically shared with you, but I will specifically share with you a bunch of things that, so that you don't have to look for them, so that you can look for things in your, when you want to learn more and read more, but that I can bring certain things to your attention without you having to find them. And so
Okay.
the budget folder will be one of those things.
Okay, sure, thanks.
So we need to meet with each department head who submits a budget, to go over their budget with them and then make our recommendations of what we will bring to the budget committee. So do we want to do that on our off Mondays?
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense, instead of trying to squeeze it in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So if we have we'll try to have a regular meeting and then we'll have a budget workshop meeting the following week and then just alternate them. Okay, does that make sense to you? Okay. Do you want, I think we could probably do 2 a night, for sure, right? If not,
If budget stuff is the only thing you're doing, I think you can easily do 2, if
Maybe
not 3.
3,
Maybe
yeah.
not all bigger departments, but maybe,
right.
putting a smaller one in there too.
Yeah. I spoke with Rec, I won't have theirs until next week. But we have police, we have fire, we have highway, transfer station, yes?
Yes.
Transfer station.
You have library, you have cemetery,
Cemetery, yeah. Who else?
you
we
have
need
town
town.
clerk, you have town
Oh,
clerk.
we have town clerk, and we need the town, so you need to let us know when that can be available.
So I've started updating, so I'm gonna give this to all of you. It's more up to date than what you're looking at.
I just printed this today.
It's more, this
Today,
is more up to date.
I'm doing that.
Well, so,
Thank you.
so like I said, that the department head budgets are all entered in there, and then, other lines have been filled in as I've figured them out. So I'm working on a narrative that I will present separately so that you're not looking all over the place for where the changes are, but that I'll
Okay.
speak to them all in a narrative. But there's still a lot of blanks. I just wanted to provide you a printed copy so that you can see what's changed from before and have the newest version to reference. Things that are in yellow, if you look at the Excel spreadsheet, there are other tabs, and the other tabs have information that when filled out will automatically change cells in yellow. For example, when the board decides what the across-the-board increase would be for employees, it will automatically change everybody's salary, or most salary lines in that way, and then that will change payroll taxes and things like that. So that's yellow. Lines, account names on the left that are in green are lines that have income associated with that. I see IT, and I'm not sure
That's at
offhand why
8.8.
IT is green,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
I'll have to go back and look at that, and it
Okay.
may very well. But just so you have a reference for what the color coding means.
And advertising is too.
Advertising is offset by, like for planning and zoning, you know, depending on what the advertising is, people pay fees for that.
Oh, okay.
So,
I gotcha.
so that's the point, is that it's not, you know, it's offset, and it's not just hitting taxation.
So when do you think,
I apologize for the formatting, because you'll see that the notes
I
are
Are
on
at
a
the end.
completely separate page at the
Yeah,
end.
yeah.
And so, you know, I'll send you the spreadsheet so you can reference it
Yeah.
better, and the next version I'll
Thank
do
you.
better with formatting.
So, one of the things that we have to discuss is, maybe not tonight, but in the first budget workshop, is what we are suggesting to be the salary increases across the board. So those wouldn't be reflected in here.
Right.
They're only reflected in what they're asking for, correct?
So if
Yeah.
they are asking for a specific
Yeah.
percentage increase, then
Mhm.
that's in the budget. And if it's at 0%, it's because they have not requested something specific.
Okay, all right. So, all right, well, why don't we talk about it again, well, next week is gonna be about it.
And I'll print you a better formatted, newer version with more information
Okay.
for next week.
So, next week, who do you think is ready to meet with us?
They've all submitted
Yeah.
their budgets, so any one of them should be ready. It's more about who's available on a Monday night and
Okay.
whether or not anybody has any conflicts. So what I would suggest is maybe pick 2 nights that you want to do presentations, and then I'll try to make not all the bigger departments on one night, and we'll try to just come up with a good balance of, you can either make it one of these 2 nights.
Okay, well, let's do next one, Monday, and then, what is it?
The following one is Labor Day.
Okay.
And then your
following one's
board
our
meeting
regular
is
one.
9, is the 9th when you're.
And then the next,
The
or we can go, not the Monday, on Labor Day, we could do something during the week,
Yeah,
if not a Monday, we could do a Tuesday
So
or.
how does this jive with the budget committee's schedule? And when do they start their stuff?
October.
Okay.
and when you look on your Google Calendar, you can see there are dates in black,
Mhm.
which are budget timelines, so you'll see when they're meeting over which department.
On the committees that you're on, what is the most common day of the week?
No,
What
that's
is-
Wednesday.
So maybe if-
Stormwaters are Wednesday, and then everything else is not regular.
It's not regular.
So if we picked Tuesday, then we wouldn't get, because budget is also Wednesdays.
Yep.
So if we picked a Tuesday, how's Tuesdays for you?
Tuesday's good, except the week of Labor Day, I have family
And that's planning board's gonna be.
And planning's on the 10th, they moved their meeting.
Okay, so that's a Tuesday. Okay.
So I think
All
we
right,
did
so
the
that whole week
26th.
was probably won't do one then.
26th, 16th, and 30th, you know, if we needed to do the 30th.
Say that again?
So the 26th is next Monday.
Okay,
The 16th, September 16th is a Monday,
okay,
and then the 30th is a Monday.
okay.
Well, you can also, if the board is willing and available, meet a second time next week. You could have a Monday night meeting for budget and then do something later that week. Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday are all free next week.
Yeah, okay. Just hammer it out. I think that might actually be better, get some momentum. And
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll know better where you stand about how, you'll have received all the presentations reasonably close together.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I think you'll have your heads in a better place with where you want to go from there.
Okay, all right, so the week of the 26th, is that what you're saying?
Next week.
so,
Okay,
yeah,
and so what is the other
So-
days?
It could be any other
any
day.
other day.
Okay, so, I'm trying to think, I don't have it, I don't have my calendar with me.
Well, we gotta see if anyone is willing to show up.
Well, yes.
Well, let's do the 26th and the 28th and see what that, and I'll let you guys know what the 28th is. I'm pretty certain I'm all set.
So do you want to do 6:30 or do you want to do something else?
6 works better for me, but that's, I'm fine,
6.
6:30
Yeah.
is fine.
Works good for you?
For both of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
When is the next sewer and water?
28.
On the 28th,
Um,
do you want to
And that's the withdrawal.
I don't care about that one. Well, I mean, I don't know that one.
Right.
but-
you want to do the 29th?
Well, it's also about whether or not the public might want to attend your workshop in that meeting.
Well, we can't do all.
Well, I know,
meetings.
I'm just saying.
And we were trying, it was made a point that we try not to have sewer and water with other meetings.
So,
because it was
Thursday night
Right.
and Tuesday night? Thursday?
So the 28th is a Wednesday.
Yes.
So what is your
Tuesday or
preference on a Tuesday or Thursday? 2 nights in a row? or-
Tuesday is my preference.
How about you?
So Tuesday, Thursday? Or
No,
Monday?
Monday,
No, Monday,
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Sure, let's
Okay,
go
so
for it.
26th and 27th.
Just
Okay.
plan
All
on
right.
staying
At
over.
6.
Right?
That's it.
Yes.
Okay. If we can get people to come in.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it good? We could,
Oh,
Really?
like the 26th, I
if we gave it a 2-hour window, we probably could do at least 2 a night.
Well, and then you'll know whether or not you need a third night.
Yeah,
Right.
but even like cemetery is so
Pretty brief.
brief and,
Yeah.
what's the other one that was brief? The library is
Library,
not bad.
No.
Because it's,
town clerk.
Transfer station and highway are probably gonna be the heavier ones.
Yeah.
Police doesn't have a whole lot of change,
Yeah.
and fire's not a whole lot of change,
Yeah.
although, you know,
yeah,
one change can cause a lot of conversation, so you never know.
yeah. All right, let's do those 2 and see what we can do. Do you want me to ask them their preference or do you want to let them know?
It's up to you, I'm happy to do it,
Okay.
but,
All right.
okay.
All right, so we'll go with those 2 dates for now, and we'll leave 16th of September available.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Did you say September 26th, is that what you
I
said?
said the 16th.
16th. Is that
September
Monday?
16th.
That's the next Monday as a workshop.
Okay.
Because we definitely would have rec by then, so rec would be
Okay.
one of them.
And is that also at 6?
Okay. Very good. All right. Land use consultant.
So I talked to Denise and Miles briefly about this, and I have put in the budget a change in how we handle planning consulting. And currently we have a planning consultant. I'm proposing that we change things to do them differently. It's one of our non-publics at the end of the meeting. I just want to bring to your attention that I've budgeted for things in a new way. And so there have been changes to a couple of lines. I think it will be in better service to the town for planning and for zoning. So we can talk about it in non-public, but I would like for that position to be shared by two people. With Tom Clark, with his extensive planning experience on the Dover Planning Board. He holds the Dover City Manager's spot on their planning board and has for a number of years, in addition to code enforcement and building inspection and all that. So for him to attend the meetings and to meet with Michelle Mears, who is a resident, who is a certified AICP planner, who works as a planner with the City of Rochester, who would do the technical reviews, and then meet with Tom and discuss those reviews, and Tom would go to meetings. And I think the combination of that experience would really benefit us. So, we can talk about it more later, but
Okay.
it's reflected in the numbers in those two lines.
Any questions?
No,
Okay.
good, thank you.
Microsoft Office.
There's a purchase order in the folder there. It is for user licenses. It looks like the other purchase order, yeah, in your left hand.
Yep.
It includes 7 licenses for the police department because he needs them as well. That's gonna come out of,
Oh no, this only has 3.
okay, so we need to add his 7 licenses.
Is there not
as-
another one in there?
No, there's not another one in there.
Okay.
Then I'm sorry, I forgot to add it. So if you would add 7 more licenses at the standard license rate.
Standard, not full.
Standard,
7 standard.
which I believe is $250.
Each.
Right, so that's another $1,750 for the police department's user licenses, which he can take out of his office expense line.
Okay. How much is that?
So, I think it was $1,500 on top of that, is that right?
Yep.
So that's $3,250 total. $3,250 for the total of the purchase order.
And I'm missing something because
So there's
Yes.
one
there's a
plus,
full version
plus
for
the-
440.
okay, there you go, sorry, so it's $3,690.
3,000.
$690, thank you for your help with that.
Okay.
I apologize.
All right. All right, so there's 7 standard licenses for the police, 3 standard licenses for,
The town
Town.
office, and then 1 full version, which includes publisher.
which is you.
Yes,
So the 3 is Chuck and the 2
Two front office.
ladies in the front office, okay. And then, okay, so what about George if he gets a computer?
it's not going to change the pricing, it's gonna be another $250 for him if he needs it, if the board approves that.
Okay, and who else would be part of this?
Well, and so it may also be that, I don't know what Ed's situation is either, and whether or not they can share that license, because Ed has his own tablet keyboard
Mhm.
arrangement there too. So, I'll go there and I'll visit and I'll see how they use
Okay.
the computer and what they use and what they think they need.
And who's it going out? Who's the name on it?
Oh, I apologize, Microsoft.
It's gonna be directly with
Well-
Microsoft, it's not gonna go through Tom LaBelle?
If you would put Microsoft via Tom LaBelle, because I'm not sure if that, well, Microsoft should be fine.
Okay, you can add Tom LaBelle on there if we're gonna get it through Tom. Okay. All right, so let's make a motion to put on the floor anyway.
I'll move purchase order 1669 for $3,690 for 11 total Microsoft licenses to Microsoft.
Okay,
Seconded?
okay, and it's open for discussion.
So this is yearly or one time?
No, no. The annual license is $99 per user, and that's an alternative if you want to do that for Microsoft 365. These are individual one-time licenses for Microsoft 2019. So you purchase it once and then you use it for as long as your computer and the program lasts.
So 7
You choose when to
licenses
update.
for the police, there are 7 computers down there? This is for the
They have-
laptops?
I'm not clear about that.
Oh, it might be on there.
Because
I
if
don't
you
know if
have
it's
a
the tab.
device,
Each vehicle.
it's per device, right?
Yes,
Like, so if 2 guys or 2 people are sharing a laptop, you don't need
correct.
2 licenses, right? I just have a hard time believing there's 7 individuals.
So
they
it
have
may
them
be
in their
like,
cruisers.
like probably the
The
cruisers,
cruisers,
4 for
each have one.
cruisers and then like 3 in the
Mhm.
building probably.
They're using Microsoft in the cruiser?
I
They
don't
have
know that they are,
office.
but I would not be surprised to learn that they are.
Um,
Because then they could potentially write reports up at the side of the road.
Office 365, doesn't it cover 5 devices for a year for $100?
It says per user.
It's not per license?
I have 365, but that's just for me, so I can't answer that.
365 is 99 per user.
I believe it says per user, because I looked at that.
It says up to 6 users on PC or Mac, $99 a year, 365.
Okay.
Access, Excel, Outlook, Publisher, Word, PowerPoint.
Okay, so if you want to amend the PO to say 365 preferred, and I'll talk to Tom about that, and if we can do that, I'm fine with doing that. But
It
that,
depends on how long you want to use, if these, because at some point one becomes more expensive than the other, but.
right, it's all
Yeah,
about how frequently you
because it's
renew it,
yearly,
because,
yeah.
you know, one-time cost is a one-time cost, so you get 2.5 years out of, you know, it's 2.5 times, well, although you get more than one license for the
Five, yeah.
$99.
So $200, you got 10 licenses, or 10 computers, 2 licenses, 10 machines you could run it on. It's a single key, single
Right.
license key.
It says 18 and a half years. Is
Well, they'll.
It's
it's
2000.
Probably would
before then.
upgrade quicker.
Yeah, yeah. All right,
Okay.
want us to table it and, or do you,
I would really not want to table it. If you can put some kind of contingency on the purchase order, I'll go with 365 if you can get 6 licenses for $99.
how does that affect Kate?
Kate can't use her dog licenses and Tom LaBelle's like, you know.
I know, but how does that, can she use 365 or does she need to have the regular one?
Oh, I don't think, that doesn't matter at all.
Okay, okay.
As long as there's office, and it
Okay.
doesn't matter what it is, which it is. Just know that if I'm doing 365, then I'm budgeting for that next year.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have 365 checking into before purchase.
Yes.
Okay. So this can, as long as you go under that, then we won't have to revote on it.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
no.
No? Okay. So it's been, so we'll call the vote then. All those in favor say aye.
I
Aye, okay. Is there a different one for the full version for 365? Because you needed publisher?
She just read publisher.
It says
you
that
did?
Publisher
Okay.
is included, yeah.
Okay. And each department is gonna get hit in their own budget. It's not all gonna
Yes.
come on the town side. Okay.
Yes.
Did we check with Fari, did they need it?
They just did 365 on
They
their
did?
own before we had this
Oh, they
conversation,
did
like a few months
365?
ago.
Okay. Okay. RWSD concerns.
Water sewer.
Yep.
So the board charged me, residents came and expressed concerns with the board, and the board charged me with looking into what could the town's role be in this situation. I've spoken with a number of people about that, and there are a few suggestions. I spoke with an attorney at the Secretary of State's office, who himself used to work for the Attorney General's office, regarding right-to-know violations, meeting outside of meetings, attending and having decisions made before they arrive at meetings and like that. No one has the authority to enforce RSA 91A but the courts. His suggestion is, as far as if the town wanted to do something about that, is to have town council send a letter to the district's attorney with the information sheet on the AG's website regarding the right-to-know law, and ask that attorney to bring to the district commissioner's attention the law and how it seems as though things are going on that should not be going on. In the hopes that that would change behavior and make sure that they know. If that were to not change behavior and people felt as though that was still going on, then if the town wanted to bring them to court, then at least it could be said that you tried to mitigate the situation outside the courts and failed. So you can say that you tried. The town does have a role in the situation in that our facilities are in the district, so the town is a ratepayer. But also because the town is a ratepayer, that makes every resident that's not in the district a stakeholder, albeit not to the same level of the people in the district, but by way of being a resident of the town who is a ratepayer. And so for that reason, they feel as though if you felt as though you wanted to, you would have grounds in court over right to know. With regard to the town taking over the water district, that would require a vote of the people of the water district and the people of the town. There are recent situations of that happening with districts dissolving and being taken over by the municipalities in which they exist. There's only one, I believe, that happened recently that was water and or sewer. The others were fire mutual aid districts, which are a little bit different because you're not delivering a service daily in the same way as monitoring and working on maintaining water quality. So, that's a little bit different, but the laws are the same anyway. We would need to make sure that there's adequate transition time. And it would be important to budget for it, which would mean that the board would either have to know, you would either have to want to put it on the warrant to the voters, or else, in either case, have a public hearing and understand from the people what would they like for you to do. Because what we would not want to have happen is for a petition warrant article to happen for the town to take over the district, in both the town and the district, and then it's voted to be approved on a certain effective date, but we have not budgeted or prepared for that. So, lots of advice about having lots of public conversations about what's going on and how the board feels about it, and engaging with the public so that you can act in correspondence with how the public might want you to act, if, you know, however you feel comfortable with that. These transitions, there is not a case of people voting for this to happen in the district and then the town voting not to. But that's a potential, in which case it's not clear what happens. Technically, under one scenario, according to my conversation with the Department of Revenue, everybody in the district would just build a well and install a septic system. But we all know that that's highly impractical and exorbitantly expensive and probably not to the best service of the residents. So, to some extent, if the people of the district are going to vote to approve that, then it would behoove the board to respond appropriately on behalf of the town, so that we're all ready and doing whatever it is that you want to do to move forward, if that's the path you choose to take. There's a lot of discovery to do and a lot of homework to do if that's the course we're going to take. But again, public conversation and gauging public support for which way the public wants you to go. The other thing, someone asked me the question recently, although this is happening in the water sewer district, it's been in the paper about Rollinsford Water and the water sewer district, that will reflect upon the town, and that may be perceived as a water problem within the town. And it may in fact be, in terms of groundwater, and who knows in what other way it may affect other residents in that regard. But also, because of a public perception, there may be an impact on assessed values. So if property values are affected, it would be certainly within the role of the board to protect the image of the town and do some PR around that and explain the distinction between the district and the rest of the town. But it is something to keep in mind, that if assessed values go down overall or even just within the district, that alone will affect the tax rate regardless of what happens with budget expenditures and revenues.
I guess one of the things that I know that is occurring is that someone is just not picking up a certified or registered letter, whatever, which one it is. So will not pick up the request for the right to know, because you have to sign for it, so they're not doing that. So they're never gonna get that information, and I don't know how you can proceed with that. So I think sending a letter from our legal counsel to theirs, it might be a start. But I think we also do, as town selectmen, probably just need to hear the public and let them speak and hear what their concerns are too. I think a public hearing would definitely be the best for everyone, because, I mean, I am not at all in favor of taking over the district by no means.
Right.
But, I mean, who knows going forward, what's gonna happen? And the whole town needs to know, to hear your opinion of the whole town, because some are paying for something that isn't even a service that they're gonna get, because it's gonna come from town dollars.
There is that.
You know, so
it's
hearing the
wouldn't
public
be
comment.
held separate for it?
Well, two different things. So if your assessed values go down
Oh, sure.
because of the public perception,
Mhm.
then you're gonna pay a higher tax rate because of the public perception, even though you are not at all in the district.
Okay, I get you.
But if the town of Rollinsford takes over the district, then they're gonna pay for that as well. and
Well,
not gonna
so
be-
if the town were to take over the district, then the district would maintain its own separate budget and
Okay.
would be paid still by rates by people in the district. So
Okay.
it would just eliminate commissioners and you'd have a department head reporting to the select board.
But
And
if you'd still be able to keep it separate?
the funds would be separate because you
And the
absolutely
expense.
cannot have the expense of an operation on people who are
Not
not
getting the
benefiting
service.
from that. So
Okay,
that's
okay.
part of the transition plan would be doing the homework about how do we change our operations so that we can accommodate that. The other thing that I've learned is about chapter 32, the budget law.
Mhm.
The budget committee, being an official budget committee, has a responsibility to oversee the budgets of the town, district, and school. And so if a budget is overspent for where it is if it's over 25% spent for the quarter, then it is for the people of that entity to manage. But it is also the budget committee's responsibility to inquire about the plan for ending the year within the line. So, the other advice is, because they're operating within a cut budget and they appear through quarter two to be overexpended for that time of year,
Mhm.
what is their plan with that? How do they plan to continue and finish the year coming within plan? And they need to be open with that.
Mhm.
And if that continues throughout the year, at some point, the budget committee, through a vote of that board at the expense of the town, could vote to have them removed, the commissioners, for spending without appropriation.
Only for that one position. Or all of them.
That's not clear, because the group of commissioners together is voting to manage their money. So I'm not sure that that's one position and not three. So
Can
there-
you repeat what you just said? I'm sorry.
You can only spend within the authority of your past budget. So you have your budget of whatever bottom line, you are charged with managing that money, and you can move money around, but you have to stay within that bottom line.
Mhm.
If you're not, the budget committee can hold you accountable for that. There is case law of a police chief who was elected rather than an employee. An employee would be fired, but an elected police chief was continually told by the select board that you are overexpending your budget, and he continued to do so, and they took him to court and had him removed.
Okay.
So that's an individual.
Mhm.
It's not very clear whether in this case it would be an individual or a whole board, but to my mind, you can't hold one person accountable for the actions of a whole board. To my mind, it would be the whole board, but I don't know that. It's something that if the budget committee were interested in doing, we would have to investigate further.
Mhm.
It's also not clear whether or not the budget committee has that authority if the select board is not interested in footing the bill. I don't know the answer to that either.
Okay.
If you are, I can do more research, but that's what I've discovered so far.
Okay. I would just make sure you had a conversation with John, to make sure that he understands what his
Indeed.
role as chair of the budget committee is, and
Well,
understands.
And as the ex
Role.
officio, I would encourage you to relay that to the budget committee and,
Yes.
through those meetings as well, and ask those questions.
Okay. Why don't you and I and John have a conversation together, if we can work out something, just to make sure we're all on the same page and we know what we can and cannot do. Is there any questions about that
Okay.
process? How about you, Miles?
No, but I do think it starts with a public hearing. I think
Absolutely.
I think we need to,
Yeah, I agree. I think, how soon do we wanna try to get one together? Because you
well,
need to get
if we
people
need to
to
know it for budget.
budgeting purposes, yeah.
So how would that work? Would we put forward two budgets? One that includes the water just, that's not workable. Do you know?
It's fraught with problems in that way, because you budget one way and something else happens.
Mhm,
And then what if you get a default budget?
Right.
mhm.
So, you know, one step at a time.
Let's just hear their concern, let's make arrangements for a public hearing to hear public comment about their concerns for the water sewer district, and what their expectation is from the board of selectmen.
They asked for your help, it would be helpful to know to what end they,
Yeah,
what their goal is with that.
all right.
But that's the limitation at this point of how the town could be involved if you want to.
Okay.
You had mentioned the attorney sending a letter. Did you,
Well, clearly they know what's in the letter and they're not signing for it, so they're not receiving it. It has to do with the right to know. So,
well, we can speculate to that. You know, there is more, you know, there's bigger evidence out there that they've admitted to in public of having tours of the facility without noticing that meeting and things like that.
Mhm.
So, you know, we have to keep it to what we know and give it to them the benefit of the doubt, but nonetheless, there have been declarations of decisions at meetings without any deliberation or vote of that, so,
mhm.
you know.
They don't even have motions and votes on anything. I mean, it's just not the right way to do it, but. I don't know, what do you think, guys?
Yeah, I'm not sure a letter would do anything.
A letter may or may not do anything, it's
Right,
more about
it's-
if the board has the intent to take them to court over right to know,
Mhm.
then it would be good to take that letter as a first step so that you are giving them the opportunity to learn and change, so that perhaps you can avoid court, or at least court can be more expedient.
You mentioned one of the times that we spoke that you thought you might be able to request some pro bono work.
I can request all kinds of things,
Yeah.
I can't promise anything. So I can,
What would be the cost of writing a letter? I mean, you
a
can't do
couple
that.
$100, I mean, it's gonna be, you know,
And it's a letter from our council to their council,
yes, on behalf of this board.
on behalf of this board. And what exactly is it that we're requesting?
We are bringing to their attention that there are concerns from the public about right-to-know violations, some of which they've admitted to themselves in open meetings, and we want to make sure that they are aware of the law and the board's concern over them following through with the law. And so, you know, please read here about the law and make sure that you are taking appropriate actions with regard to meetings.
Okay. What are your feelings?
I think I don't know that would make a difference, but it does sound like the first step, so at least you can say that you've done it.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. I can get involved with that.
Okay. Do we want to make a motion that we put it on record that we're requesting a letter to be sent from our legal counsel to their legal counsel of our concerns of how the commissioners are, how the commissioners are handling their meetings, and let Steve just like make it whatever he needs to. discussion? Okay, so all those in favor about, say aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passed. Send a letter.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right. Okay, so,
Oh, so just to circle back, do we want to set a
Public
date for a
hearing,
public
yes.
hearing?
oh,
Or
okay. I don't
wait
think
until, I
Um,
don't know how much time.
would we do it in an evening, or would we do it in a
I
Saturday?
think you-
or do- what do you-
Well, Saturday you'd get more people for sure, I think. But you could do it in the evening, I think, you're just not during the day, I would say.
Not during the day, during the week, I mean, not gonna get the working people, so. What is the availability for?
Well, next week's kind of full now.
Mm-hmm.
You're, Jessica, you're out the whole first week of September?
I'm Saturday, yes.
Okay.
So the following week of the 9th, you've got planning on Tuesday, but Wednesday, so far Wednesday and Thursday are free, though Thursday is a school board meeting.
Could we do it on the 9th prior to our regular select board meeting? Or do we feel like,
You certainly could. I would suggest that you start at 6 rather
Oh,
than
yeah.
6:30.
or do we think it deserves?
I don't know if you would even wanna consider a different location though, if we're gonna
Yeah.
have people.
So pick a date and then I'll see about location.
Okay. What date are you looking at?
So that's the 9th.
September 9th?
Yeah. So it might be a bad idea to try to do a select board meeting and a public hearing on the same night, depending on.
Well, it can be done, just like you moved to the library recently and you've had it at the Legion before.
Yep.
Mhm.
So,
10th of
So that's the Monday after Labor Day.
the Monday following, the week
Yeah,
after,
okay.
yeah.
All right, how's the 9th look for you, okay?
That's fine, yeah.
Okay, well, let's go with the 9th.
Okay.
We'll have the public hearing at 6 PM, we'll say immediately following the select board meeting, and if it goes really long, we won't have the select, we'll just
Yeah, we'll just,
go in and go out
yeah.
and make another.
And you can reschedule,
And
yeah.
reschedule.
Yeah.
All right,
Yep.
all right. And you tell me what your thoughts are for a location.
I will try the Legion,
Okay.
and if I can't get the Legion, I'll try the school, and if not, then I will, email you and try to set another date.
Okay, all right, that sounds good. All right.
I move we table the policy review.
I'll second that. We're gonna get there, I swear we are.
We will.
Standing items, board members' activities and updates. Let's get going.
I don't have anything for the remainder of this week. And budget workshops next week. Yeah, I think that's it for the.
Rec got
foreseeable future.
canceled for tomorrow night. so-
Does it have any date yet?
I don't think it gave me a new date. It got canceled though. I think it's a couple of weeks out was her proposal. So,
I appreciate why they did that, so they can include the directors, but,
oh, it didn't tell me that in my email.
well,
Is that what they did it for?
that is wise, because,
Okay,
the directors both wanted vacation for the 1 week before school started.
oh, okay, well,
Which
okay.
makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, that makes sense,
And
yeah,
then I think after that, it was availability of
everyone else.
everyone else. So, we just need to, let me know if I don't get on that, if that's arranged. We need to work on the timeline for all the other stuff. So the recap is late now.
Mm-hmm,
We need to, we need to stay on getting the program written.
and all the money has been turned in?
The program's closed as far as that's concerned. I'm sure we'll still continue to get, busing bills.
Okay,
I know and who knows what for a little while.
Can you just give me an update when you have some update about, where we stand financially, if it was above or,
Yes,
okay, and did we get a refund from the climbing place?
we never paid.
We never paid. Oh, okay, very good. So, did you pay the teen for,
Yes, for Hilltop Fun
Hilltop,
Center.
yeah.
Yes, she's been reimbursed.
she's been reimbursed,
So
okay.
that's in there.
So if we can get, kind of a feel of where we are, I'm sure Dee's gonna want that too, to make sure.
Yeah, it's not final yet,
Yeah,
but we're
but-
closer.
Good, okay, very good. All right, so I don't have anything else, I don't think, the rest of the week. And you, my dear, don't have it yet, but you only have nothing at this point. All right, town administrator update?
There's a lot going on in getting the budget ready and working on numbers, things like that. There is planning's busy with a lot line adjustment on Goodman Road on the agenda for September. And a revision, we'll see what kind of revision to the proposed subdivision off of Silver Street.
Yep.
That may require another technical review committee. I'm not sure. It depends on what level of revisions they're submitting. So there's just a lot of activity going on in the office, lots of real estate inquiries about things to do with properties and like that. We had our stormwater public hearing. That was really good. So we're able to cross that off for one of our major requirements for the permit. So we're just marching forward. The rest of the week is, catching up on budget stuff. So we're good.
All right.
We're working on policy. I am trying to get numbers for welfare so that you can, aside from the delegation of duties in the welfare policy, that's the biggest revision, is the addition of the appendix about the allowable expenses, the level of, what we allow for rentals, for example, for 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms and things like that, so.
Okay.
It's all good.
All right. Review of correspondences, that would be
That's that
this
folder.
folder here.
Some of those things on the left may have been already addressed, and Denise will know if that's the case.
What is this?
Sometimes things just haven't been filed.
This was just the governor's letter to us, we're all set there. Extension of cable television franchise.
Which needs to be
We-
signed
yeah.
still, if you want to. So what happened was, he was incorrect about the term and said that it was up in, I think, January. You actually have one in place through July or August. So it has expired more recently. The term is different, which is why he reissued that. You signed it once under a different term. And so it needs signature again as a correction for a different term.
So it's going from September 24th until midnight of September 23rd, 2020.
Right. So just different month to month, the year that
Okay.
it was a different year.
Okay. All right, so this, we've already signed it, but what was the day before that we?
It was July, I believe,
Of
June or
this year.
July of this year until
Okay.
2020, yes.
Okay, and so now we're just signing it because it's September to September.
So, right, the effective dates have just been shifted a few weeks.
Okay, all right. So do you want to, do we need to make a motion because we already signed it? Do we just sign it?
I
We
think you
probably
could
should
just,
change it. We should probably make a motion to accept the change to be
for those effective dates.
this September. Can you do that?
Sure.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we accept the extension of cable television franchise agreement between the town of Rollinsford and Comcast for, where are
Yeah,
the
it's right
dates?
here. It's in the first paragraph
Oh,
in
sorry.
September.
I left my glasses in the car. From September 24th, 2019 to September 23rd, 2020.
Right, all right, you want a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion on this? This is the Comcast between the town. All Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we each have to sign it. Townsend, have we heard if the school has approved it?
I have not heard, and so I wonder if they skipped a meeting or if they just didn't get back to me.
Can you call SAU and ask?
Yeah, I
them?
can call it
Katie?
to you.
Yeah, all right, so this
What
one
was
we,
that? I'm sorry, I missed it.
what,
The Townsend Energy bulk
for the bulk
pricing
rate?
contract.
We were
Yeah.
waiting for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
school. Okay, so this has been signed, so then, when we are done with it, do you put it on one side versus, these are items that need follow-up, so.
You marked
Yeah.
the sides, so
Um,
you can follow that.
Done
That's-
to be processed, so that would be in, over there. These need follow-up. Well, this can be filed.
They can be filed, so you
This
can put
one
them in
can
the
be
done
filed.
side, yeah.
This is done. This one needs, we need to get back to,
Yeah,
so that's
so
gonna be
needs follow-up.
follow-up. And then junkyard license, oh,
That's just information
Yeah.
for when you want information.
So
And,
do you wanna put it in items to be followed up, or do you wanna?
Yeah,
just-
leave it
okay.
in the file, just so we can
Yeah.
reference it later when the time comes. And by the way, that is still going on.
Okay, so what else do we got there?
He has made,
Transfer station.
Let me see. Oh, this is the Ken Bolduc's.
Right, that's just a copy of the letter that he currently has.
Okay, so we're just, yes.
just,
Mhm. This was it. Okay, we have to vote on this one.
okay.
Alright, so, I would just put,
I can,
he wants us to discuss it further,
Oh.
but I mean, bottom line is,
take a vote, yeah.
we gave him an option, that he can drive his ex-wife's car or his daughter's car with a permit on it, or he can't go, right? I mean, it is that. Are you in
Yeah,
agreement
I'm
with
in
that?
agreement,
Are you,
yes.
how do you feel
Yeah.
about it? I mean, we gave him an option.
I don't think we need to act on anything, because he's got the letter that says it's what he's gotta do.
Well, I think since he asked for more conversation, if you would just vote to deny his request, if that's what you're gonna do, then at least it's decisive. And then he, the letter is the last thing that stands, but at least you can say that you took action and considered it further.
Sure. So I'll move that we deny his request for an exemption to the transfer station policy.
Okay,
Second.
okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye?
I
Okay. So we're gonna send him a notification, or is he, I'm sure he's gonna call us.
He'll call, I'm sure he'll
We can
call
tell him that
and
we
follow
denied
up.
it. It is,
I can take care of it.
all right, very good. Okay, so this needs to be brought up, that this disbursement is being requested for this purpose.
So move to,
We can move to disbursement.
Move to approve the disbursement.
to approve disbursement to the Rollinsford Public Library for $2,000 for collection development, programming, capital improvement, phone and copier lease.
So this is money that I'm sorry,
I'll second it.
this is money that they have budgeted, but they typically they have their own account and we pay payroll and rent. But typically once or twice a year, they ask for some of their budget funds to transfer over to their account to pay for their expenses. So that's what this is.
Any questions?
No.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so who has to sign it? We don't all sign it, right?
Just one of you.
Okay. Okay, you put that. Does it need to be followed up for you? Is it done in the folder you need to get?
It's done,
Okay.
it's done, thank you.
Anything else in there? No? Okay, so you're done there. But, well, we have this one here. What is this, Jew Mason Furlong? That's a lot of reading to be doing in a meeting.
You can, one of you or all of you can come in and look at it or take it home and read it. It's 2 copies of the same thing. And basically, it's the auditor's attestment that he did his audit according to his, objective policies and, we all swear that we're,
Is this the
Doing a
bottom
good
thing
job.
that was on our tab?
no.
Oh, okay.
So I sign this and he sign, and you all sign this.
Okay,
Just saying that, yes, he did the audit according to, generally accepted accounting principles and so forth.
okay, so first of all, it looks like it has to be the chairperson that does it, but it says Michael Rolo.
And I would just cross that out and just,
You don't want him to do a new one?
it's up to you, I can have him do a new one, but, you can also just cross it out
All
for your
right,
name.
since it only has to be the chairman that has to sign it, I will take a copy home and read it, and then I will come in and sign it, okay?
Okay.
All right. Is that okay with you guys?
Yep.
Okay, I'll take this copy home, put it in
That's
the
fine.
folder, and then if I have any questions,
Just
Good
bring it
one.
back when you're ready, ask me
Yeah.
questions.
Okay.
Questions.
can we just put that in the file, and I'll take this copy home. And that was all you had in there? Okay, so I'm all set here, oops, I lost my agenda.
I'm gonna get the, red folder too before you.
Okay.
You can take public comment if you want to.
Okay, community input? I guess not, okay. So we need to go into non-public. Referencing RSA 91A:311A for personnel.
I move to go into non-public for a personnel issue.
Okay.
Second.
Yeah, so we do roll call.
Okay.
So Jessica? Jessica,
You say
right?
it.
Yes, yes.
Oh, wait.
Miles?
Yes.
Oh, we're not gonna go in yet, all right, go ahead.
Sorry, one more thing. This is the abatement of resident taxes for 2018. The tax year is over, so remaining unpaid resident taxes are abated. This is, it's a tax and audit function to take them off the books, essentially.
Oh, okay. And we have to make a vote, and then we have to sign it,
Yes,
okay.
Alright.
And you've reviewed it,
yes.
okay,
It's an annual thing.
okay.
So, to do things right, I'm gonna rescind my motion to go into non-public,
Okay,
if you can.
Second.
rescind your,
Rescind.
okay,
Okay.
It.
all right,
So I'll make a motion to accept these residence tax abatements in the amount of $3,340 for the tax year of 2018.
okay,
Seconded.
okay. Any discussion?
Tell me again the number.
3340.
Okay, do you wanna look at it before?
No, this is what you were talking about the last meeting, right?
Ye-
Overpaying and then paying back.
No,
Oh, no.
no, but it's similar in that
Yeah.
something's assessed and then it's partially refunded. Like, that's kind of what an abatement is, but, resident taxes were assessed for a total dollar amount, $10 times all the residents known to be in Rollinsford. And then it's a liability on the books that that amount needs to be raised by taxation, but in this case, a resident tax, but because they weren't all paid, you can't just leave them as an unpaid liability. The process is called an abatement to close the year and wash the remaining balance of the books, so to speak.
Yeah.
So essentially, you are kind of forgiving that resident tax for each one of those individuals who hasn't paid, whether it be because they moved away or died or aged out or whatever the case may be.
And we no longer charge this anymore.
And you no longer
So,
charge
and
resident
this will be
tax.
the last one that you will sign.
Got it.
Okay. All right. All right, so now, we can,
Now I'll make a motion to go
Yeah.
into non-public session for personnel.
okay, roll call,
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Do you have seconded, and all the roll call, did you do the roll call?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep,
I
she
was
seconded,
looking
it.
at
We all
the
did
clock.
it.
Yep.
She had already seconded it, yeah.
Not added W or
Are you
J.
done with this? Yes. This is the report, but I think that was probably the thing that we just signed.
Yes.
So that's the only
It
thing that was
is,
probably
right
in there.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
She just forgot. Just a bit. Was your right away? Yes. Pick it up.
Oh, really? Okay. Good to know. Been following it. Chair comfy? Is your chair comfy?
Yes,
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I found them too. Hope they stay nice and.
Yes, so how many days do they have?
Good night, everyone.
Hey, Charlie.
I don't know.
One day.
Oh, okay. Very good.
That's the
Glad to hear
day
it.
I got my info.
Glad to hear it.
I missed
The
something.
letter did get picked up.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Oh.
I did not see that follow up, but it picked up.
No, it hasn't been.
Oh, okay, okay.
No, I have my other sources. Good night, guys.
Good night. Is that off?
Oh, no, of course not.
God love her.